depends on like how much experience you've had with all of that. Because I think it's very easy to have like rose tinted glasses and think that things are supposed to be good.
Yeah, no,
when it's not quite like
definitely
that. Yeah,
not.
like the more and more relationships you go through, the more and more you realize like, oh, so it's just always going to be some set of problems, just a different kind every time. Maybe we're both lonely.
Yeah.
Maybe this person does things I don't like.
Yeah.
Maybe this person says they don't like being tied down to me. Like maybe that's the problem. It could be anything.
Yeah.
But it's always something new that you didn't predict.
Yeah.
And you don't know going into it either, because people, when you start a relationship, unless you've known them for years like yours, people tend to put on a front. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Because you want to appear likable.
Yeah.
You want to appear dateable. And so that facade can only last so long before the walls come crashing down. Yeah. And it's tough. It's tough to know like if you're doing it right, I suppose, because what is right? Like what is proper? Like if you both feel lonely, is that right or is that wrong?
Or is that normal?
Is it normal?
Is that a normal thing all couples experience?
Yeah.
My theory is at least some of the time everyone must feel that way.
Well, especially like if you've had previous relationships where you had a really strong connection, right?
Yes.
Because then it's like, well, this isn't like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think there's like pieces where like, oh, well, our relationship is better in this way, but this ex I had did this thing.
Right.
And now they're not there. You can romanticize all the things that they like. The relationship might have been a dumpster fire, but you haven't seen them in 2 years. And so now you look back with rose-tinted glasses. You're like, man, the sex used to be really great.
Yeah, right.
And like you've completely forgotten that Jenny was horrible and like whatever. So
she ruined your life.
Jenny
but the
ruined
sex
your
was
life. Sex was great, and she cheated on you 7 times, like that kind of
And
thing.
like that same relationship for the longest time, I had those feelings of like, oh, it was so perfect. But like looking back, there were obvious things that were bad.
Yeah,
it's just hard to have that kind of perspective, especially when you don't like the way things end. You want to remember it in a good way, in a positive light.
Yeah.
But in like truly, it probably wasn't that. It probably was inevitable.
Yeah.
The thing is, you know, like my mom, when my dad passed away, my mom, she was like saying to me how it's just sad how that works, how relationships fall apart like that. Because my mom and my dad were really close, and there was this big falling out. My parents divorced when I was like 3 or 4.
Okay.
But my mom and my dad, from my mom's telling of the story, it sounds as if my dad was like the one. She was very hopeful about that relationship, and then things just kept going wrong.
Yeah.
To where she couldn't stay with him anymore.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like the natural course of relationships. It's very rare to actually stay with someone for a long time.
Yeah.
It's just kind of impossible, I feel like.
Like, I feel like it's just the friend you want to be around the most.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Somebody
Ideally.
who's supportive, like in the right ways. Like somebody who props you up the right ways, I feel like. Like that's the best possible relationship in my mind. It's not a perfect relationship. It's not like everything goes great. It's like the type of person that pushes you to be the type of person you should be, whatever that is. Say that you are a productive person, you're always busy. So that means you don't need a relationship where you're around each other all the time. You just need somebody who supports that part of you and encourages that part of you. Like, I love that you're productive. I love that you do that. That's what you need, because that'll push you in that direction.
Yeah.
Just like a good friendship. It's the same thing. Like, that's why you need good friends. Bad friends will fucking destroy you.
Bad friends fuck your life so hard.
Probably, and that's harder to even see than a boyfriend or girlfriend.
Yeah, because when you're with a boyfriend or girlfriend, you're constantly analyzing, is this working, is this not?
Yeah.
Whereas like shitty friends, you notice less.
Yeah, and I feel like it's easier to put up with.
Yes, because you don't have to live with them all the time.
Yeah.
Like I have so I definitely have friends from when I was younger where I'm like, we have so much fun when we hang out. I cannot hang out with you all the time because you are not the kind of person I want to be.
Yeah.
And like, you are so fun to hang out with, but like not every day. Like, this is not the path I want to go. However fun it might be, you know?
Yeah, I do know.
Like, I feel like we all have those friends where it's like, I shouldn't hang out with you every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a friend who we would hang out so much growing up. He was like a few years older than me, so it was cool because it's like I'm a 6th grader and he's like a 9th grader, right? So it's like, oh, I have an old friend. That's how it feels.
Yeah.
But like looking back, like I remember we would joke about like we'd be sitting there in his living room or in like the living room and the kitchen are connected, right? So we're in the kitchen, there's the living room, and we're just like on the computer doing whatever we do, and his dad's like lifting up the couch cushions looking for crack, and we're just making jokes about it.
Yeah.
Like that, he was a bad influence.
Bad influence for sure.
I would have never even been introduced to that world.
Yeah.
His mom was the mom that let us drink at their house. So like that's how I started drinking 5 o'clock vodka in ninth grade.
Yeah.
She would buy it for us.
Yeah.
And it's like, at the time, it's hard to tell that's not a good friend because this is awesome. Like, who else would do this? This is freaking cool.
Yeah.
And then looking back, it's like, okay, like, good thing I didn't see him as like a role model or something.
Yes.
Because I could have ended up in the, and like, he's kind of pulled out of that life I haven't talked to him in a while. But like it looks like he's doing well. Great for him. But like it's easy to model yourself after your friends. Like you see them all the time, you hang out with them all the time, so you start to adapt those behaviors.
And whatever they do is what you normalize.
Yeah, right. And so that stuff's normal to me even now.
Yeah. And I think we all have crazy ass things that our friends do that we think is normal behavior.
Yeah.
And then like someone outside will be like, your friends are what they're doing this, like your friends are insane.
Yep.
And I'm like, no, they're not. And then you pull back, you're like, whoa. Like, all right, like, I guess, yeah, you're right. My friends are insane.
Yeah. I had a schizophrenic friend who even now, he'll still message me every now and then like, hey, and I just can't even respond. Because I don't know if it's schizophrenic or bipolar, but like what he would do is you'd be friends with him for a while, for like months and months and months and months and months and months and months, and then it flips, and all of a sudden now he hates you, and he doesn't just hate you, but he's like actively trying to hurt your feelings and make your life worse. And after you do that a few times, it's like, okay, this isn't good.
Yeah, the ping-ponging.
And whenever you tell people about it, they're like, what the fuck? Like, why would you keep being friends with that person? But it's like, well, he's cool. Like, you don't get it. Like, when we hang out and he's being cool, it's cool.
Yeah.
But if I just described that, then it's clearly not cool.
Yeah.
And I've just learned, like, it's not even worth it. It's not even worth trying to give him a chance because it's just going to go wrong.
Just going to go horribly wrong.
And I wish it wasn't like that because there's still the part of me that wants to normalize it and give him credit and be nice because he was my friend and we did have good times together, you know? And that's the other part is you remember all the good stuff.
The good stuff,
You remember all those times you guys bonded and when you hung out and we were joking around and man, like that guy really connects with me in a way that other people don't. So like you think about all that stuff. It's hard to break up with anybody, a friend, a boyfriend, a girlfriend. It's very hard to break off a relationship, but you have to sometimes.
Sometimes you do, Yeah,
it's difficult. It's hard to break the news. No, we can't be buddies anymore.
Yeah.
A lot of it's, well, now we have social media, so it's easier actually, because you can just ghost people.
Yeah.
I think like, it's different. So say like I think that's kind of why, because I've seen this in comedy, but I guess in everything, like in any industry you're in, they say like don't date other comedians, like don't sleep with other comedians, and really what it is, you know, there's no ghost in them, there's no breaking that off because you're going to see them again. You're in the same circles.
Yeah.
You're going to run across them, and it's going to be awkward, and it's just it's a risky thing to do, you know.
How do you like if you do how do you not though? Like
Exactly.
if your entire life is comedy, or like I do comedy and I'm a musical theater writer too. So I know there's comedians and gay men, and that's like my whole life. So it's like, how do you expect me to date someone who's outside of that? And like and I have tried having things with people who are not artists.
But it's harder to relate to them, right?
Yeah, and it doesn't really work. And it's like our lifestyles are super different. And like, I don't know, I dated a doctor a while ago and some random different people. For me, it's hard to date people who aren't artists in some capacity.
Yeah, I think that I would feel the same way. Just because I know what drives me. And when I talk to people who don't think in the same kind of way, I'm almost just like, how do you even live like this?
Yeah.
Like, you don't have a constant drive to like create, like, you don't feel shame if you don't create things.
Yeah.
I shame myself. Like, I have to do this.
Yeah.
And like, so it's actually harder for me to understand. Like, I'm actually jealous. Like, I wish I could have that type of like blissful, like, I don't have to do that.
I don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But and again, like that, with that thing with like, I need somebody who's going to like push me in the right direction. I would think I would need that, like somebody who's creative in that way, so I can see them doing it, and it's like, oh well, okay, so they're doing it, I'm doing it, we're both pushing ourselves the right way.
We're both paddling similar canoes.
Right. Yeah. Because it is like, it's a constant uphill battle with anything creative or artistic you're doing. And I feel like if you don't do that, it's very hard to even understand what's going on there. Yeah.
Yes, I would agree. And I tried dating someone who, it's funny, one time I told him that he needed to, rather than, because this was after we were just friends, that he needed to focus on pursuing his passions rather than trying to find a partner. And I was like, if you are actively pursuing your passions every day, you are more likely to connect with someone who's doing, like, if your passion is like, I don't know, jogging or hiking or pot or whatever, you meet someone doing the things you like doing.
Yeah, that's good advice.
And he said, he's like, I do have passions. I was like, no. And I like bitched him out. I was like, you have hobbies. I was like, a passion is something you do every fucking day. Like, a hobby is something you like do sometimes. And then he just like stopped responding to me. Because it was true. I was like, you bitch, you do not have a passion. It's not a passion if you like do it like once a week or something.
Right.
That is a hobby. That is not a passion.
And passions are what make diamonds. Passions are what make people become mind blowers, what make people break through the mold and change the world. You got to have passions. You can't have hobbies, because those are the things that you obsess over, the things that your mind just sits and festers on. And eventually you find a way to break it. And in that, you break everybody else's mind. You break the universe. You break reality, and you become a professional mind blower. That's right, folks. And we got t-shirts to celebrate such an occasion. $25 for a shirt, and that is shipping included, okay? We got smalls, mediums, we got larges, and we can make more sizes if you so please. All of the information to get one of these bad boys is in the description of this video. Great way for you to support this show. If you want to support the show but you don't want a t-shirt, well, don't you worry. There's this thing we got called Patreon. That's right. We've got exclusive podcast content on the Patreon. We've got music on the Patreon that's only coming out there. And also, my music comes out early on that Patreon. All of these things are just perks for the wonderful thing that is supporting Ruse Radio. If you like what we're doing, you like what I'm making happen here, please let us know. The Patreon is going to help this show grow and become a bigger, better, more magical thing. I need your help. Please become part of the Ruse Army. You are my chickens. You are my roosters. Welcome to the Coop Troop. Last but not least, we've got shows coming up. What? That's right. You can catch me live June 7th at Wow, You're Actually Funny, put together by friend of Ruse Radio, Marco Serino. We love that guy. Getting actually funny people up at Surge Billiards. The time is going to be announced very soon. Keep an eye out for that. You'll be seeing me live that night. But you know what I got to do? I got another time I can tell you about, and that is that same night at midnight. I'll be up on the north side of Chicago at Mark II Lounge. That is right. I will be chilling with Sands of the Hour, doing some real rap hip hop, some grimy bars up in there. And I'm talking maybe 30 minutes to some real rhymes coming from Ruse. The Rooster spitting at you raw. Ruse coming at you raw up at Mark II. Mark the day, mark the calendar, mark 2 days, because you're going to need the next day to recover. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Mark II at midnight. Catch me at that lounge. June 19th, Ruse's grand return to Roast Battle. You gotta be there. Ruse is about to tear the house down. Ruse is gonna roast everybody yet again. Ruse has become the ultimate villain of Roast Battle, coming in and destroying everyone's souls. You gotta see it live to truly understand what is happening. I'm destroying these people. There is no recovering from what Ruse is about to do. Shout out Roast Battle. Love those guys. Love Zanies. Love all of that. Roast Battle's doing amazing things. Bunch of comics being featured on Roast Battle. They're making original jokes, original content for you people watching this at home. They're doing that for you all the time for free. That's right. So we gotta love Roast Battle. Gotta love the opportunities they're providing, the people they're putting on, and also just the fact that it's an awesome thing in general. Seriously, check out Roast Battle. Maybe I'll see you there live on June 19th at 9 p.m. at Zanies. Now back to the topic at hand, folks. Passions. let's talk about passions.
But some people don't have passions, right?
I know.
Like, I feel like some people, I think what it is like I was lucky because I found out that I like writing music and like I like the poetic aspect of that. I connect with that so much because it's something that I can do anytime, anywhere, and I can constantly challenge myself and prove myself to myself. I don't need anybody else to help me. I can just do that. And to me, I feel lucky that I found that early because most people don't, and most people cycle through things. It's like how you go to college and you try 3 different majors before you settle on the right one, if you even find the right one.
Yeah.
I think it's how people end up in situations where they're 40 years old and they feel like they didn't live the life that they should have lived because like it's so hard to figure out what it is you're supposed to be doing. Like there's no real correct thing because whatever it is for you is going to be different, you know? So like comedy, it's an interesting one because how do people end up there? Usually they're like 25, they're like 30, and they have tried other things, and then they end up doing comedy. Like almost always, it's like they went through a couple things already.
Yeah.
They didn't start with comedy.
Yeah.
Almost always that's the case.
Usually, yeah.
And so, and you know, of course, because like who knows they're going to be a comedian when they're 15.
There are some people who do, and they always wanted to do that. And like, to those people, more power to you. You've been on your path for longer. I also think a lot of people do comedy because they're lonely. And when you do comedy, you have a built-in community. And it might be a really toxic community, but you do have one.
That's true, yeah.
And like a built-in social life. And like, you can just be out hanging out in bars every night, and people call that grinding. I was like, yeah, you were grinding so hard in that bar at 11 p.m. drinking with your friends.
Right.
You were like that. Wow, that must have been really hard work. I had. It's like it bothers me actually deeply how like. If people see me out at open mics, they'll be like, "You've been working really hard." I'm like, "No, I haven't. I have not." I like
basically partying.
Yeah, like I'm not like people confuse hard work with consistency.
Right.
Going to mics every night, that is not hard work. I'm just being consistent with showing face. And like I actually have a rule for myself now where if I don't have at least 3 new jokes or like a song to work on, I will not go out.
So is that the hard work part? Yes.
Because other like I can be at home, I can be practicing piano, I can be writing, I can be practicing. Like I've stuff that's actually hard work, and when I go to a mic, if I don't have something I'm actually working on, then I am just socializing and dicking around for hours. And I'm like, that is not hard work. I don't care what all the other comics say. That's not hard work. Like I did a mic recently and it was like 11 p.m. and like everyone was just kind of like, no one was trying. There was only a few of us there. Then like one comic walked in and it was like, I brought pizza. And we're like, whoa. And then we all completely stopped listening to the person performing because we were all just like going over eating pizza. And it was great. It was super fun to just like eat pizza with friends at 11, whatever. But I had this moment in my head where I was like, this is not hard work. I was like, there is no reality where this is hard work. I was like, I can't do this every night if I'm going to actually be the person I want to be. And
you could fall into that pretty easily.
Yeah, because it's fun.
Yeah.
The comedy lifestyle is fun. And like I want to actually work hard because working hard makes me feel good. And like hanging out in bars every single night to me is the opposite of working hard.
Right.
And like, again, if I have an actual bit to work on or an actual song or like whatever, that's different because then I'm there with a purpose. But if I don't, like, what is happening?
Interesting. Yeah.
Like I don't buy the narrative that just showing up and horsing around is hard work and actually making you a better comic. I just don't.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Huh. I mean, like, see, I've learned that I like to go to comedy open mics more than music mics just because of the surprise element of such a thing.
That's true. That's true. You get way more surprises there.
Way more surprises.
It's like, and this person said the N-word. You're like, what? Like, you never know what you're gonna get.
Yeah. The homeless guy down the street just happened to sign up that night.
Yeah, decided he had a type 5. Yeah.
And surprise, he didn't.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, because I do music, I don't even have to, like, I know what I'm doing. So I'm not, like, I can have fun, but when it comes to, like, those 5 minutes that are my 5 minutes, it's, like, completely locking in, you know, like, completely locking in. Like, it doesn't even, it's so much about me versus me that that's interesting just because it is about having fun for pretty much everybody else. See, I don't even think that way.
Because that's what they tell us.
Yeah.
You are working hard if you're going to mics every night.
Yeah.
And I'm like, is that person that you see out all the time, are they working hard or are they just having a blast?
Right.
So they do it, and there's nothing wrong with having fun.
No.
You have to have fun to do the thing, but let's also be realistic with ourselves about what hard work is.
Yeah.
Whatever. So,
well, and like if you're, say, you want because you know everybody has different goals.
Yes,
everybody has
correct.
a different end goal. Like maybe your goal is to just have fun and do this right now. If that's your goal, then by all means. But if your goal is to like get booked and move up that ladder, you can't just be focusing on having fun right now. You do have to constantly be, and like that's why in my mind I'm not even thinking that way.
Yeah.
Like I have a grand vision for myself.
Yeah.
Like I shouldn't even be here right now.
okay.
I should be on the Billboard Top 500. Like it's a crime against humanity that I'm here.
Sure.
If I'm thinking that way, then like I'm already like I'm having fun. Don't get me wrong. I love going to mics and meeting people and having fun, but I already know like it's so far beyond this is the goal. And so like I guess it just depends what you see in yourself in a way. And you have to evaluate yourself. You have to be honest.
And what you actually want out of what you're doing.
Yeah.
And where are you going? And if you're not, and because I consistently, I like to ask people, what is your clearly defined goal?
That's a good question.
And if you don't know where you're going, you're going to be all over the map. And it blows my mind how often I will talk to people, good comedians, who either have no idea or their goal is very vague.
Right.
And it's like, okay, well, if you don't have a goal, you can do open mics until the end of time, and you can get pretty good at comedy, and you can whatever. But it just depends on what you want and what you're trying to do and what your end goals are.
I heard a good piece of advice where it's like, okay, write down like what you see your life in 5 years, 10 years, whatever, and then write down what your life would be if you succumbed to all of your worst qualities. Like if all those things that are the worst things about you that you know, because you're more intimately aware of those things than anybody else.
Yeah.
Say that you just fell into all those patterns forever. Where are you going to be then?
Yeah.
And like that's a challenging exercise because very quickly you start to realize like, oh, it's actually very easy for me to go nowhere.
Yeah.
It's the easiest thing in the world.
Yeah.
All I have to do is basically nothing. I just have to keep doing these things. Like we all have our own toxic patterns. Like I could stay inside forever if I really wanted. Like that's one thing I've learned about myself. Like if I really wanted, I could just not go out and socialize with anybody and I'd probably be fine. But that's never how anything happens ever. And that's like all of the quality things that have happened to me, all of the quality connections I've made with people were a result of me putting myself out there.
Yeah.
But I can easily not do that. And I actually like not doing that.
Yeah.
It's more comfortable.
Yeah.
It's uncomfortable to put yourself in a precarious position.
Sure.
But like if I were to be honest with myself, where do I see myself in 5 or 10 years if I didn't do that? I'd be still right here doing the same exact thing I'm doing right now. I'd be going to open mics every night and never ever excelling beyond that. You know, it's like it's hard because you have to, once you have that goal, you have to have like an actual roadmap in a way. Like okay, so now I have this goal.
What are all the steps in between?
Exactly. And that's why the goal is important because once you actually have it, like once you actually do have a spot you see yourself, now you have to put yourself in that position of like, okay, I'm at A and I have to get to Z. What is the rest of the alphabet? Yeah. Because it's different for everyone, you know. But I think most of it is as simple as, you know, even if you're fucking around, like even if you're just fucking around, you're having fun at mics, like you said, always have something you're working on and also always be actively seeking out like connections with other people. I think those two things, if you just did those two things, you'd probably be better off than like 90% of everyone. Because a lot of people just come and go, or they're just hanging out with their friends. So they're not actually trying to meet new people a lot of the time. And then the other thing is a lot of people will like rest on what they know works, and they won't try new things. And those two things are what actually leads you to like bettering yourself, I feel like. Because once you were never going to find out. There's like there's this book right here I found recently in my book thing. It's in those free books around the neighborhood, Mastering Stand-Up, which I think no one could learn stand-up from a book, so it's kind of funny. But
I think continue.
Well, it just says one of the rules in the book is like it was saying how, I can't remember, I'll find it in like 2 seconds. It's right here. It was so it's Louis C.K. says that studying George Carlin taught him what he needed to know to move up from hack to comedy star. Carlin's work taught Louis the two things that became Louis' trademark. The first is to have the courage to speak the unspeakable, and the second is if every year you throw out all your old material and write an hour of new material, you'll be forced to dig deeper and deeper into yourself to find your comedy. And that's really good advice. Like, just throw everything away and just try new stuff, because it's so easy to rely on what you know works.
Sure.
You have to start failing again, even when you thought you were good. Like, and that's like the infinite rule. Like, no matter what success you achieve, you have to just throw it all away and just start over.
Yeah.
Because you're always going to have to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's easy to do the same things. It's easy to do that. Like, I've seen people I know, like, I've seen them do the same jokes over and over again, because I see it. It works. They already know it's going to work. But it'll be like, you can even see them fall back into it. Like, they'll be trying new stuff, and then they'll be like, okay, this isn't really working. And then they'll just do their old stuff again. And that's just not a formula for like upward growth in my mind. Like, that's a good way to stay exactly where you've always been.
If you're at an open mic.
Even at shows, though. I've seen people do that at shows.
If you're at a show and all your new shit is bombing and it's a paid show,
then go back.
I think if you think about it from, if you want to talk about upward mobility and you want to get rebooked, and what you're doing is not working, if you bomb for an entire set,
right,
the likelihood that you'll get asked back is much lower. And if there are a bunch of other comics there who also run shows, that could also affect your upward mobility.
Right.
So if you're doing a couple jokes and it's not working, usually what I'll do is I'll go, okay, this is not working, course correct, because you could burn a bunch of bridges if this doesn't go well. Now, if it's a show that's low stakes, random bar show, there's no repercussions, blow the whole set.
Right.
But I think you have to assess the risk of every show you're at.
That's a good point, yeah.
Because not all shows are the same. Because, like, I definitely have shows where I go, I can bomb the whole time, repercussion free. And then other times where I'm like, there will actually be repercussions if this goes terribly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you never know who's there either. So like, if it is a higher profile thing, it could be a random person in that audience.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I do think you have to assess the moments where you're going to take risks and the moments where you're going to play it safe. And because I find, or even like playing it safe has a negative connotation. Like whether you're going to do tried and true. Whatever, which I guess is playing it safe. But like, again, I feel like it's such a case by case thing. Another example would be like, people are always like, put yourself out there. You're never ready. The flip side is like, well, yeah, sometimes you're also not ready.
Right.
So like there are people in my life who are like, oh, I saw you got booked on this show. Like, how did you get booked on the show? And I know this person is not ready to do that show, but they don't have the experience or the self-awareness to know that. And so like,
it makes it more refreshing when you see somebody who does, like somebody who can say they're not ready yet.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my God, you're actually honest
or
with
be
yourself.
Like, maybe like for me, what I run into a lot of shows is I'm like, I know I could do the show. I'm ready. It could go well. It's also not the end of the world if I do that show in 2 months.
Right.
I'm like, or like if I do, because there have like been a bunch of shows where like I did the show this year and I can look back and go, realistically, I could have done that show 2 years ago and it would have been fine. It also didn't hurt at all that I had a bunch of extra time to get better.
Well, I imagine though, a big part of that though is like, say you get that opportunity. Well, now you have to do that evaluation in your head. Like, well, what if I don't get this opportunity again?
Yeah.
I imagine that's a big part of the fears. Like, okay, well, I have to take this because this is like a once in a lifetime.
Yeah.
Which might be just an illusion you're presenting
Yeah.
to yourself, because there's a million opportunities that could come.
A million ones, yeah. And also just like, which again, circling back around to like, what is your intention? There are a lot of different intentions people have within the comedy scene, whether they're aware of it or not.
Right.
So if your goal is, I want to ladder climb and become super popular in Chicago, you can do that. That's a very specific skill set. That is a different skill set from, I want to make this type of comedy, or I want to make an album, or I want to do this, this, and this. Same thing as like social media is different than actual performance. It's just different goals.
Right.
And so like the trap that I have to constantly keep slapping myself on the wrist for is I need to do this show because someone else I saw did this show and I'm feeling competitive. And I'll do that and I'll book shows that way, and I feel myself becoming the person I don't want to be. And I'm like I want to do shows because I want to do that show. I do not want to be a person who does a show because someone else did it and I'm jealous that another kid has a toy I want. I was like, that's not the person I'm trying to be. Like, and like when my motives are off, my life gets worse always. And so constantly asking like, why am I feeling the need for all whatever is a thing.
Check yourself before you wreck yourself, you know?
Yeah.
Because like you could easily do that, become that like person who's like envious and, oh, why are they getting these opportunities? And then you chase that specific opportunity. I think like in life, the ultimate truth is it's always you versus you, always. And if you start to think outside of that and you start to look at other people like, oh, well, why are they? Like, you're comparing, and that's not, whatever you are is so different than whatever they are.
Yeah.
Even if like you're both doing the same thing, their version of success is going to be different than your version of success. And like what makes you great is not what's going to make them great. So like the best thing you could possibly do is just that's interesting too about like focusing on the shows that you want, right? Like what type of thing am I looking for?
And why?
Yeah, and why, right?
Like, what do you actually want?
Yeah.
Like, what do you really want? Because you want it, not because you're jealous.
Right.
Like the line between like you want something out of envy and you want it because it's what you actually want.
Yeah.
And that's always a complicated to sift through.
And you can't be a hater. Like you can't just spend your life being a hater.
Because then you completely lose track of what it is you actually are after.
And I think like it makes you learn to hate the thing you love.
Yeah.
Because then you're not like looking at it through that lens of I like comedy. I like doing comedy. Now you're looking at it like I hate that these people get this. I hate that I have to do this to get here. Like you're all of a sudden you start like having expectations out of it when before it was just the art form that you like. Like that's the reason you would have started doing it with whatever it is you're doing. It's because you liked it. But as soon as you start to like compare and like want things out of for the wrong reasons, you start to forget. It's like it's why I have always struggled with like selling myself or like with music. Like I hate the way that so much music now is geared towards like a commodification thing where it's like people will literally write songs just so that they become TikTok sounds. They'll write songs so that, oh, this is the catchy part that everybody's going to see on a clip. Like that's so far removed from what I think of music to be, which is just writing songs. Like it's just the pure thing that you do. You just create a piece from start to finish, and there you go. You've done it, and now you can extract things from it. You shouldn't be thinking all that other stuff when you're doing it.
It's a very backwards way to do it.
Yeah, and like say, oh, I want to write this kind of comedy, so I get booked for this kind of show because. Like maybe that's good if you're challenging yourself and you're trying to like, you know, push yourself a little bit. But if you're doing it just because you want this external thing, I just feel like now you're starting to, that's how you lose touch with yourself. And that's how you start doing things that, you know, you become the person you don't like. And then you become this self-loathing asshole. Like it just, it spirals, it snowballs slowly. And then before you know it, you're that guy. You don't want to be that guy. You have to catch it from like a mile away. You have to see yourself start to do that and be like, no. And it's so easy to do it because we all like, I think we're all trained to chase things like that. We're all trained to chase numbers and chase, oh, well, I only had 20 people at my show. I should have had 100 people there, you know? And that's good if you are setting a standard for yourself, but it's bad if you torture yourself and you just constantly can't just enjoy what you're doing now. Like, just enjoy the fact that you even can do this, the fact that you can put together a 5-minute set and go out there and execute it. That's a skill that most people don't have. Or when people are starting, they just can't do that. And you couldn't do that at one point, and now you can. But if you're just constantly being an asshole to yourself, or you're constantly chasing the wrong thing, like, just do the thing that you like doing. Don't think about all the other stuff. Because it's kind of like what you said, like how if you're pursuing your passion, those things fall into place. Like, really, when you get into the habit of just enjoying pursuing whatever it is, things do naturally tend to just kind of fall into place, hopefully.
When your motives are right, yeah.
When your motives are right, yeah. But like, when they're not, you place all these expectations on it, and then that doesn't happen, and now you're upset about it.
Yeah.
It's like, well, it's because you started from the wrong position in the first place.
There's this Bible verse, whatever you sow, you reap. And it's like, you planted a bad seed. You planted a dog shit seed.
Yeah.
And now you're getting dog shit fruit.
No one wants dog shit fruit.
No one wants dog shit fruit.
I wouldn't buy that.
Yeah.
If you go to a market and you see dog shit fruit, don't buy it.
Like, this is where, one thing I'm really into is like the core truths that are running through every religion. Because
Right.
you see the same ideas, they voiced it in different ways, but like, it's like the idea that like what you sow, you also reap is very similar to the idea of karma. And like, it's like we're all sowing seeds all the time and like through our intentions. And so like, I don't know, if you don't hyper watch it, you sow some and I can say from experience, I've sown some very bad seeds. So
When if you're a sinner, you go to hell in the sense that like you sin so many times, you commit
life
so many
sucks.
wrongs.
Yeah,
The hell is your life.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The hell is here, right? And I feel like it's very, you were on the same page where it's like heaven and hell is like right now.
Right.
Not this like far, I'm like right now.
And it's a pattern that like your actions bring into being. Like
Yes.
it brings it into
Yes.
reality. And
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
what
yeah.
religion, even if you don't believe any of it, you think it's all like gobbledygook, it's just a bunch of people telling stories. If you think all of that, but then okay, why would they tell these stories?
Yeah,
Like,
what's
what is
the
the
point?
purpose of
Yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, to me, the most reasonable explanation would be like it's to corral people into whatever proper behavior would be, to like get people to think in such a fashion that their lives would be better. And like, hopefully that is the betterment of everyone's lives in the end, not just your life, but everyone's life.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of the idea for most religions, it seems, is like to act in such a way that makes everyone's life better, not just your own. And then we all go up through that, you know, because if we all commit sins and we all commit evils, we all go down. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and what I've noticed is it seems like in the Bible, I'm going to specifically talk about the Gospels, but there is, to me, different truths for different levels of consciousness. By different levels of consciousness, I just mean emotional maturity.
Right.
Like sometimes Jesus will say things that completely contradict things he says in other places. One example is him being like forgive everyone, give everyone second chances. And then another time he says like, yeah, don't throw your pearls to the pigs. Like, don't give to dogs what is holy, which is basically being like, sometimes like you just don't like forgive, like they're never going to be okay. They're never going to be decent people. Like, fuck them. Like, don't throw, by his pearls, he just means like the goodness of your heart or the truth you have to offer, whatever.
Yeah.
And to me, those are two contradictory things. Don't throw your pearls to the pigs and like forgive everyone. But I think they're two different ideas for two different levels of emotional maturity or two different problems. Because like some people need to learn, yeah, you need to be more forgiving. Like you got to forgive some people. And then some people, it's like, no, stop giving them a second chance. Like they suck. That's whatever. And the different things people are learning. And there's like a lot of it, like example, Jesus telling people like, yeah, like give to Caesar what's Caesar and give to God what's God. And other times Jesus is like, fuck it, I'm destroying the temple. And sometimes it seems like he's supporting these like and other times no. So I really think it's like a bunch of different truths that you just take on like a case by case basis.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you should fucking destroy the temple, and other times it's like, chill, bro, just pay your taxes. You know?
Yeah. And you shouldn't. And like, yeah, some people are not worth forgiving. Forgiveness
Yeah.
is a confusing thing.
Some people are just not worth your time.
Yeah.
And how do you know when that is?
Right.
When it's someone, you should just like give them a second chance. And then one time's like, no, you suck. Like, You know, when you go,
Well, and it's tempting, especially if you like see yourself as a like somebody who like you're trying to follow like good virtues. You're trying to be, what would Jesus do?
Yeah.
Well, Jesus would forgive this person.
Or maybe he just like beat them up. Like the other day I was
violent.
talking.
Jesus is violent now.
The other day I was like, well, I said one of my friends is a Christian, and I was like, there was a time when Jesus just punched someone. He goes, when was that? I was like, never. I just made it up.
You could have gaslit.
I like to just like make up shit Jesus did. I was like, yeah, there's one time Jesus just like did a line of coke, and they're like, what? I'm like, it's in there. It's in there.
Jesus hit somebody with their car in L.A. That's what he did.
Jesus actually opened a vortex, and there's like multiple timelines. It's in there. Just gotta read it.
There was a story where Jesus had this glove and there's 5 rings he needed to get, and once he got them, he just snapped off half of humanity.
Totally, exactly. And so many people like have not ever even read it, so you can just tell them anything's in there. How are they gonna know the difference?
Right.
So,
probably a lot of Christians, probably a lot of people in religion in general. It's just kind of like you absorb the general philosophy of it, but if you like quiz them, like, have you ever actually read the Bible? Have you read the Quran? Like the answer is almost always probably going to be no.
And people, even if they do read the Bible, they don't read it and think for themselves. They just believe whatever their denomination tells them it is. So it's like, well, my denomination says that this verse means this. Because there's disagreement among groups about what is what. But it's just, well, I'm evangelical, and so we believe that this verse means this thing. So that's what it means. It's like, okay. And
but at that point, I think it becomes like less personal, which is kind of like, I don't think that's what religion's supposed to be. I think it's supposed to be like an intimate thing between you and the religion. It's supposed to be like your personal, what do you take from this? Yeah, because if it becomes so dogmatic, well, then now it's not really a religion. Now it's more like a cult, because now you're so dependent on what they say. You can't actually come to your own conclusion about this. And I don't think the Bible is literal. I don't think any religious text is literal.
Yeah.
You can't interpret it literally.
Yeah,
you can't interpret it like, oh, well, this is exactly what they're saying. It's kind of like a poem where it could be anything.
Literature 101.
Yeah, hopefully.
It's like, we've all taken, hopefully, literature classes, and we know how reading a story works, but
I don't know. I feel like a lot of people don't. The more and more I go through life, especially like the way, again, like with the way that music is now, I think there will always be real music, but I think it's much easier to be like very literal, very straightforward, when to me that's never what it was. Same thing with comedy even. Like you could be I think that comedy actually, more so than music, holds on to that interpretation and creativity. Like I think there's a lot more music that gets by now that's not so much that, especially hip hop. Like I'm thinking mainly hip hop, but even other things like pop music is kind of like the silly like Hollywood version of other music, where it's gonna be so literal, it's gonna be so on the face to the point where it actually annoys me, and it makes me question, like, is this just my taste? Is this just me because I have such high standards, or is it true that it is like people will just kind of, they don't want to challenge themselves when they listen to a song. They don't want to challenge themselves when they watch a movie.
Yeah.
They don't want it to stimulate their creativity. They just want the story to be explained to them.
Yeah.
Because to me, that's like, that bores me.
Yeah.
I don't want you to tell me exactly what it is. I want to be able to figure it out. That's the art of it.
I'm also like that too, where I don't mind ingesting a piece of art that I have to work for a little bit. But not everyone is like that. And like, in fact, someone critiqued, I have this comedy song that I do, and it's pretty consistent, so I've been doing it on a regular basis, and it usually works very well. And someone's critique of it was, you're making your audience think too much. And also you use too many words. And I was like, I guess that's a valid criticism, but also like we all just have to be who we are.
Right.
And like who I authentically am, I really love Stephen Sondheim and Tim Minchin and like Dylan, and that's the stuff that I like. I can't just write stuff I don't like that I wouldn't want to see just because some people in these audiences might not like thinking, especially not if the song works well on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So, I'm like, sorry, someone might have to listen to my song and think a little bit. How awful for them. Like,
I'm sorry I put
that
you
must be
through
just
that.
like really triggering for them. It's like, oh my God, you have to think, that's so traumatizing.
Odds are they hate themselves.
Yeah.
Odds are they don't like thinking because they don't want to be in their own mind.
Yeah.
That's probably what's going on.
Yeah. Like,
thinking is dangerous. It's scary. You know?
It is. I like lately, because I've been bringing it full circle, being in a relationship is making me see a lot of my ugly shadow side, and there's a lot of ugly shadow side.
Yeah.
It's real ugly. I got some demons, and they are not pretty. They've been coming more into my awareness. I'm like, yikes! I don't want to think about that and be present to that. And the instinct to run to distraction becomes higher when the awareness of the demons gets bigger.
I think that's a lot of it. I think that's like a lot of why people don't want that, because it is like but it's much easier to just have somebody give it to you flat, and you don't have to enter your own mind.
Yeah, too many demons.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm like such an infant. So my boyfriend pointed out a very like real flaw I had, a thing I needed to work on. And I was like, but I have so many other flaws I have to work on. I was like, now you just gave me another job. And I was
you
like,
know he's right. That's
I was like, I have too many jobs. I was like, I have like 20 character flaws I'm working on. Now you just gave me another one.
Yeah.
Too many jobs. I was like, I can't do music and comedy and write a musical and have another character flaw I'm working on. There's too much to do, and now I'm tired.
I think that's why people don't want to go to therapy. For a lot of people, it's therapies. I don't want to go to therapy, but that's just because I feel like I'm already dealing with my own issues by myself. I don't need a therapist to tell them to me.
I feel like I have plenty of people to tell me everything I need to work on.
Exactly. But like, I think like that's the big fear, is that someone's going to tell me exactly what's wrong with me. At least like the general person, that's why they wouldn't want to go. They're going to tell me exactly what I don't want to hear, and then I can never unsee it, you know?
Yeah.
Because that's the scary part, is once you see it, you can't unsee it. And then you're going to see it in yourself over and over and over again. Ignorance is bliss. It is true.
Yeah, it is.
It's much better to just be ignorant and just put those blinders on and just walk through life. But I mean, I don't think that's how you get to anywhere good. You know,
true.
You can't just have all those character flaws, even though it takes effort to remove them. You know, you can't just hold on to them.
I know.
Forever.
It's like, I guess I'll grow now. I guess it's time to grow.
Yeah, what a fucking bummer.
I'm like, growth time.
With your musical comedy though, like how did that even start? Like, cause I mean, there's different types of musical comedy. There's different people who do different kinds of comedy that's musical. So like, if you even had to describe it, like, what would you even say that it is to somebody who doesn't know what it is, you know?
I mean, you can tell I come from the musical theater tradition, I guess, but I feel like a lot of people who do musical comedy do. I don't know. You can tell. I feel like you can tell who I've been influenced by, and like you can hear some Bo Burnham and some Sondheim and Stephen Lynch and like whoever, and what it is.
Or I guess just like even how you started doing that.
Oh well, I was doing musical theater writing before that, and I still am on this TV series called Act of Faith, and there's a musical number in every episode. So I was doing that, like, and then we're developing a stage musical, and I'd been doing stand-up for a while, and then I was like, just doing regular stand-up doesn't feel authentic. So
so this is incorporating the other thing.
Yeah, now it's all coming under the umbrella of my end goal, which is to spend my life writing original musicals.
Yeah, and the musicals. So like, how do you even write a musical?
Good question. So I read a bunch of screenwriting books.
Okay.
So like Save the Cat obviously is like classic. It's the screenwriting Bible. A lot of people hate Save the Cat because they think it ruined Hollywood, which it did. But it like gives you a formula for. Are you familiar with it? I don't want to talk down to you. So basically, down to the page, what needs to happen.
Okay.
So like we're at page 55. Which I think this is right. This is the. I want to make sure I say it right. I think this is it. The midpoint of the movie. So you have a false victory. We're at this page. We're 2/3 the way through. That's the Dark Night of the Soul beat. So then this thing happens. So then this page is where you state the original theme. This page is the catalyst. This page is the fun and games portion. This page is like you beat by beat by beat. So that,
and this is the script in general. It's not a musical.
This is a screenplay.
Okay.
So you can apply that to what I did is put it in the context of a musical. So there's a 3-act structure you can follow, and I just, with the help of one of my friends who's a better screenwriter than me, tweaked it to fit that format. And this is just what I did.
Yeah.
And so then like every single scene, I have, what's the purpose of this scene? Point A to point B. And then I have the tab where I'm like, it's this tab. We have to make sure the theme gets stated. This thing here. Okay, the theme, we bring it back around on this card right here. This is the characters I want song. This is this. And then, yeah, that's kind of how I did it.
But like, isn't there a danger of becoming like too formulaic with such a way of writing? Like,
yeah, there is. I just try not to do that.
Yeah.
It'd be like, if this feels like it's getting boring and formulaic, I just won't do that. And I asked, like, that's, again, the critique with things like Save the Cat is the formula. And there will, usually instinctually, I know if I'm falling too far into formula because it's, I feel it in my soul that it's feeling boring.
Right.
And so, like, I usually when I'm working on something or like today I was orchestrating this song, which is like the finale. And I was like, would I want to see this? Is this a show I would want to see? And I'm like, okay, I'm doing these like block chords and I guess they work, but like this doesn't sit right in my soul. And I was like, this is this technically works, but it feels off. And so that's always that line between, like, I think structures are healthy as they give you context for what's happening, but if you rely on them too much, it stops being creative.
Right.
I just, like, it's like a garden. It's like if you don't have a fence, your garden will just be chaos. But like if you only have a fence and you don't have any of like the flowers and the plants and the vines, then it's just like you just have like a fence and bits of grass, you know? So it's like the both. And so yeah, oh yes, I guess how I did it. So I have my storyboard and then I wrote 1 million drafts of it and a bunch of drafts of the songs, and then went back a couple years later and was like, I can do better now. I guess I have to rewrite most of the songs now because I'm better than I used to be at this. And then went back and did that. And now I'm finishing up this current batch of demos. And then I'm going to give myself, because I have my whole year blocked out with what I'm focusing on for each period of time. And I'm giving myself like a 4-month window where I'm not going to think about Faceplant, that's the show, and I'm just going to let myself work on comedy and music and like actually get better and expand my repertoire of like songs that I can play, and also expand the amount of comedy songs that I have, and then return back to that in the fall. Because it's really hard to, like, if you're always just like writing and working on stuff, then like you're not taking time to like work on actually just like becoming a better musician or like better at comedy or things like that.
Yeah,
So-
you can't do 10 things all at once.
Correct.
No matter how
Yes.
badly you want to.
How badly you want to.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's
You
just a
kinda pick.
bad idea. Yeah. But I mean, like, that's a good idea to break it up like that. If it's reasonable, like if it's possible, like if it actually makes sense, because you don't want to take away from something for too long and then kind of have
Right.
that. Like now I'm on my sea legs again because I'm just now doing this after 6 months.
Yeah.
Because that's the risk you take when you take a break from anything. I feel like am I gonna be rusty when I come back?
The flip side, though, is like a lot of times when you put something away and then come back to it, you come back to it with fresh eyes.
Yeah, right.
And like I lose perspective of if I stare at a thing for too long, especially like in the case of this show where it's like, okay, we are so many drafts into this. And like the show is in a place I personally feel like is very strong. But I think a wee bit of distance will help with that, and then actually give me time to level up with comedy.
No, that's a good
Yeah.
idea, right? Because like then when you look at it, you can kind of see it like as someone else would. Like you kind of become a stranger to it in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can't really do that if you see it all the time.
Yes.
You just can't. It's impossible.
Yeah.
Because now you know the ins and outs of it. You know where this goes to this and this goes to this, and you kind of have lost the magic
Yeah.
of and you know, it's hard to place that. Like with music, that's an interesting thing because it's very hard for me to conceptualize like what would someone feel if they heard this song for the first time? Because I wrote it. I know where it's going. I know what my vision was. But say I'm you and you're hearing it for the first time. You're seeing it as this completed product that's already all done and you're consuming that all at once. Whereas for me, maybe I spent 3 months on that song. So in my mind, I see all 3 of those months.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to understand. Yeah.
Where a first-time audience would be coming from.
Exactly, yeah. Or like a musical. Say like you write a whole musical and it ends up being like 30 songs and 2.5 hours long. But you've convinced yourself that's a good idea.
Right.
Because
the audience won't get bored. They will not get bored.
All essential. They won't get bored.
Yeah.
It's very exciting.
Yeah.
And then that's just not the truth. And only that fresh perspective can kind of put you in your place.
Totally.
Yeah. I wanted to ask too, like with the musical, like was there like a certain, I mean, I know films, obviously like an hour and a half. Each page is supposed to be about a minute in a script.
Yeah.
So like there is like a certain level of formula, but at the same time, like is there an expected number of songs in a musical? Like is there a certain amount of songs that is proper? Is there like a certain types of songs that you're gonna see almost always? Like, oh, this is an exposition song. Like this song is where a lot of the story is gonna happen. Like, is it that stuff's there in musicals as well?
So I'll answer your first question, which is there is different types of musicals. So there are like 2-hour musicals. There are like hour 60 minutes. You have a show like Six. It doesn't even have an intermission. It's like a shorter, whatever show. What I did with Faceplant was 1 song per scene. And there's some variance with some musicals. Some musicals, maybe you'd have a couple of scenes and then a song or like whatever. Mine is about, I want to say, like 1:30, I think that's the running time.
Okay.
But there's also, some of the songs are a little bit lengthy. So sure, you have a minute a page, but then some of these songs could be 4 minutes, or like one of them is Musical Landscape. It's like a 7-minute thing. But it's a combination of a couple songs. It's like whatever. To answer your question, yes, there are specific types of songs. So an example would be the I Want song. That's traditionally like the second song in a musical. That's where you establish the character's goal. So like what they want.
Right.
So like in my musical, the I Want song is called Vision Board, where the character is singing, he says like, this is my goal, this is what I want, and nothing is going to get in the way or change my goal. And and he specifically says that nothing will change the way he is. So then when the catalyst beat happens and everything changes and his goals do change, you have a little bit of that irony, because he was aggressively like, nothing's going to change.
Right. And you're planting that seed when he says that.
Yeah. And so an example of an I Want song would be The Wizard and I, where Elphaba says, I want to meet the wizard and I want him to degreenify me. And then everyone's going to like me and no one's going to think I'm weird because I have green skin. So I want to meet the wizard. So then when we get to the end of the Act 1 finale and she's like, actually, like, the wizard sucks. Like, oh my God, I don't want that anymore. Oh my God, he's evil. Ew. Her goal has changed because she's gone on this whole journey. And so also, yes, there are exposition songs. Songs where their purpose is to further the story. Ideally, all songs in a musical will further the story or give you character development. And if a song doesn't do either of those things, odds are it's a bad song. So because if it needs to be accomplishing one of those two things.
Yeah.
Every once in a blue moon, you can have a song that's just fun and does neither of those things, but almost never. Like in Natasha Peer in the Great Comet of 1812, there's this song, this character Balaga, and they say like Balaga's just for fun. And that's in the song. They're like, Balaga's just for fun. And the whole ensemble is like, Balaga's just for fun. Like, and so.
But it's kind of tongue in cheek.
It's tongue in cheek. Yeah. It's like kind of, they're being a little meta about it. So yes. And then, let's see, what other types of songs? Oh, like my best friend and I, who's also a musical theater writer, we play this game called It's Your Classic. And we spew, like, it's your classic, I'm the bad guy and I'm going to knock on your self-esteem song by telling you you're never going to succeed and you suck. Or it's like, it's your classic, I have a terrible worldview and we're going to sing about it. And it's like really fun and upbeat. Like an example would be like the Thenardier song. Yeah. Or like, it's your classic, you're really ugly, but we're going to teach you how to be hot song. Like in Heather's, like Legally Blonde, like, it's your classic, I'm your best friend and I'm going to pump you up when you're in a bad mood song. Yeah. Like, it's your classic, we're the popular people and like we hate everyone and like we're going to sing about how much better we are than everyone because we're popular and cool. And but they're these tropey songs. And like that you see popping up over and over again in all these musicals. And so it's your one of my favorites is it's your classic oversimplify a really complex problem song. An example would be like in Hello Dolly, where they're like, oh, are you feeling down and out? Just like put on your best Sunday clothes. Or like, oh, well, like you're in a bad mood, just like smile. Duh, just like smile and everything's fine.
Yeah.
You know, and or like it's your classic oversimplified complex mental health problem. Or like anyway, all that to say, yes, there are these archetypal types of songs.
Well, and there's kind of like a running there's running types of like even like what this song is trying to accomplish.
The purpose of the song.
Yeah, you'll see that reoccur.
Correct.
And the more and more you consume like
Yeah.
different musicals.
And the more you study it, the more you will know, you always know what's happening. And you're
Right.
like, this is the classic we're introducing the B plot song. Or like and like with this character that we care less about, but they're like fun, and like we get a distraction from like the main story, which is kind of just getting like really intense now. So the goofy couple is gonna sing about their goofy love problems.
Right. I feel like that's like every Disney movie that happens at least once.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Now, I mean, it's kind of blowing my mind a little bit because like you wouldn't if those things are done right, you don't recognize it. Or if you're somebody who's not super deep into it, you don't even know that that's what's happening. Yeah. But then once you start to connect those dots, you're like, oh, they're doing the thing.
Let It Go is the exact same thing as Defying Gravity. With what is happening to the character.
Right.
And again, it's not a coincidence. They wrote both but like Adina was Elphaba, and they're like, well, we might as well just like write like the same song when she's being Elsa.
But if it's a tried and true thing, it's always going to work.
Well, it's this thing where the character has this kind of false growth moment at the end of Act 1.
Yeah.
In the case of Elphaba, she's like, whatever, I'm going to leave everything and fly off into the sky alone and fix all these problems, which is what Elsa does too. Whatever, I'm going to leave everything and go be in a castle of snow in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And in both cases, like, I think if Glinda had gone with Elphaba, they could have actually beaten the wizard. Because while Elphaba actually could do sorcery and Glinda couldn't, Glinda had interpersonal skills that Elphaba didn't. And Glinda can make any group of people fall in love with her. So they could have gotten all of the families in the upper upland and at Shiz and all these people on board with them. And Elphaba couldn't because she didn't have social skills.
Right.
Even though she had these powers, Glinda didn't. Same thing with Frozen, where like Anna really needed Elsa and vice versa. And kind of like we're stronger together than alone. I feel like you get that theme out of both of those.
Yeah. And so how do you even tweak a musical then? Like, how do you go back and take a script you wrote a few years ago and then apply the principles you know now to that? Like, was there a lot of changes that you made?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to imagine.
Yeah.
Like, this is garbage, this is garbage, this is garbage.
or it could be like, this song works, but we could go deeper.
Okay.
So like an example is like there is a song where this character goes to interview for this position to be the church music pastor. And at this point, he's had a traumatic brain injury. He can't even read. But
relatable.
Exactly. And he like the guy who's interviewing him is the pastor. And he like plays guitar and he plays piano. And the guy who's had the brain injury is like, hey, dude, like, I don't think I'm the right person for this job. Like, why don't you do the job? Why don't you be the music pastor? And he's like, because I'm already the regular pastor. If I did two jobs, everyone would get confused. And he's like, but I can't read. He's like, but you have classical training. You went to college for this. He's like, yeah, but I can't read. He's like, but you went to college for this. And so like that's a new thing I added, where it used to be the joke was just this one character is so clearly not right and he's trying to convince him that he is. Now the joke is this other person is so clearly right for the position and convinced that he's not. And so I took that character a little bit deeper. And then I also set it up so there's a character in Act 2 who will be played by the person who plays the pastor in Act 1. And it's a perfect it's setting up this track in a better way. Here's like another example is I rewrote the opening number. The opening number used to be called What a Spunky Guy. And I modeled it after You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown. And it starts out and everyone's like, you're the best person ever. You're awesome. You're great. So then when like he starts to suck after his brain injury and everyone hates him, there's like a change. And so that was originally what the song was. But then I rewrote it and now it's called Unchangeable. And I was inspired by Groundhog Day, where the opening number is the antithesis for the show. So the moral of Groundhog Day is like that like the way to better days is not through tomorrow. It's here in the present moment. But the opening number of Groundhog Day, everyone in the town is like, tomorrow there will be sun. Tomorrow, whatever, tomorrow, everything's gonna be great tomorrow.
Yeah.
perfect antithesis. And I was like, I want to do that with this. So the theme of Faceplant is that you actually have to grow as a person and change. And so the opening number is called Unchangeable.
Okay.
And it's about how like nothing that's real can be changed or destroyed. And like good guys like you are just like, you're solid as a rock. You're unchangeable.
Yeah.
Like whatever. And so it's the...
But it's setting up this false idea that's going to be proven wrong throughout the story.
Correct. Yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then like I guess too, like, are you glad that you never did anything with it those years before? You wrote it years ago. Mm-hmm. So like, why did you just put it to the side and never do anything with it? Like, how did that even happen? Where you wrote a whole script and then
because it wasn't ready yet.
And you knew that.
So, yeah. So I knew like I feel like nowadays the average musical takes like 5 to 10 years. So Hadestown took 10 years to get to Broadway.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Natasha Pierre and the Great Comet of 1812 took 5.
I mean, movies generally take 5, right? That's like the idea of like a movie script from start to finish is about 5 years. I never even thought about that. A musical's that long?
To get it to Broadway, yeah.
Wow.
And so like Dave Malloy said, you have to really, really like you're a concept for a musical to spend the next 5 to 10 years of your life on it. My friend actually just got a producer on board for his musical that he's been developing for 12 years. And it's very, very good. Because I was involved in the very first draft he ever wrote. He wrote when we were in high school. And it's like, in my opinion, cream of the crop as far as the structure, the quality of the music, what it's saying. It's very, very good. But it's been a 12-year process. So anyway... Yes, it was not ready, but also I was working on other projects.
Yeah.
So Act of Faith, which I mentioned earlier, I've been working on for 5 years. So we're midway through production of season 2. The first season is already out and streaming. But that was basically been monopolizing the past however many years of my life. And so, yeah.
And then so Act of Faith, like for people that don't know what that is, what is that?
So that's a musical mockumentary. Think The Office meets Glee.
Okay.
So it's about the admin team at a religious youth theater company in the Midwest.
Okay.
So it's on Amazon Prime and it's on Tubi. And it's a mockumentary style, but then every single episode there's an original song. And usually what'll happen is it becomes a dream sequence.
Okay.
So we can do...
That's fun.
Yeah. An example...
Kind of gives you like an excuse to break all the rules,
correct,
right?
Correct, yes. Yeah. And so, example, one character will will find like a clue and they'll realize, oh my God, there's this crazy thing going on. And then it becomes this dream. And then she'll be like, hey, Ollie, you won't believe what I just found out. And Ollie's like, gee whiz. And then both of them all of a sudden are in this black box theater with these crazy costumes. And it's like, it's what's going on in their minds. And so, but yeah, which just gave us an excuse to do crazy musical numbers.
If you can justify a dream sequence, that's always great. Like, I hate when shows and movies do it just to do crazy. Like a lot of the time what happens is it'll be like the 4th season of a show.
Yeah.
And then, oh, look, now there's dream sequences so we can tease the audience. And look, we killed that guy, but we didn't kill that guy. We got you.
Yeah.
It's like that's a cop-out. Because
we were very strategic about establishing the rules of the show and the language in the pilot.
You don't want to break the rules.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in the very first episode, we established, hey, we're going to be doing musical numbers. And there's this opening number, first number is called that's like that is called Fruit for You.
Okay.
And it's a double entendre because there's
not dog shit fruit, right?
No, not dog shit fruit. There's this character who we find out we wanted to make this character who was really unlikable more likable. So we were inspired by we wanted to give him an Ice Town. Like in Parks and Recreation, we find out that Ben Wyatt had Ice Town. So this character's Ice Town was this musical he tried to put up that flopped called Gertrude's Banana. And it was so bad that Stephen Sondheim came out of retirement as a theater critic to call his show a threat to musical theater as an art form. So now
that bad.
It's that bad. And so...
astronomical levels of terrible.
Astronomical level bad. So then at one point, this character, Ollie, is trying to convince... basically he's trying to get him to give him this job he wants. And then he starts singing this song from Gertrude's Banana. But it's called Fruit for You. And it's about this banana, but they're also both gay. So it's like and he's like, I may be yellow, and I'm longish, and I'm technically a perishable product. And it's this ridiculously stupid song. So we're letting the audience know you can have a song in every episode.
Okay.
And I've had multiple people tell me that Fruit for You was the moment they were sold on the show.
The first song.
Well, the first song in the dream sequence style. So where we earlier in the episode, we have everyone do a presentation on why they should get this directing job. And so we get a chance to really see how every character works by their each of their ridiculous presentations. And so like one of them does this horrible fabric dance with these, and then another person is like, I'm lazy, I hate kids, let's look at a pie chart, and like, you don't have to have the job, like sit down. And so we get to know all of them, but it's not in a dream sequency way. They're all just giving what they think is a very legitimate presentation for why they should be the director of this show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And the musical thing, it's only how many songs? You said one per episode, right? Or is it more than one?
At least one
At
per
least
episode.
one.
So there's a couple episodes where there's like two.
And the episodes are just regular, like 20, 30 minutes?
Yes, like 22, 24. Yeah.
But no commercials?
If you're on Tubi, there are commercials.
Okay.
So Tubi is free for anyone. What you get those ads. So Amazon Prime, there's no commercials, but you do have to pay for every episode. So it's just what you want to deal with. Do you want no ads or do you want it free and then some ads?
Well, the reason I ask is just because of the 22, 24 minutes, I guess the typical commercial length.
Yes.
Like we're allotting 8 minutes for commercials.
Yes.
And so you got like spots for commercial breaks and all that too. You wrote it that way?
Yeah. So specific places where like there's going to be a blackout, a cut here, and we know that that's where they put an ad in.
How long did it take to write all the episodes? Like how many episodes are there in the season?
Season 1, there are 9 episodes.
Okay.
There's more episodes in season 2, but that's just because originally we were going to do a 3rd season, and we decided to condense it and just do more episodes in the 2nd season. So there's 9 episodes. It took us, as far as writing it, honestly, the timeline in my head is so wonky because a lot of them we wrote on the fly. And so filming the whole thing, all of that, I want to say took like over the span of a year. But
writing it or filming it?
Well, filming it, like actual production. Because we had a couple episodes written before production started, but then some of them we were kind of writing as we went. And so, or sometimes, like, what'll be happening is, this happened a lot filming season 2. We would have our story, and then last minute, one of the actors would be like, sorry, I can't make it this weekend. And we'd be like, well, you were integral to the story, and we only have this other actor who lives in California in for this weekend.
Yeah.
So last minute, we would have to rewrite the entire script because actors were just being flaky. And like just multiple actors just like righteously fucking us over, like righteously fucking us over, right and putting us on crunch time. And so people are like, oh, we'd be like, sorry, we're gonna be sending you new scripts. The ones you have are not the ones. Be like, what do you mean? They're so unprofessional. Like, I need to be able to learn my lines. It's like, well, if you all would stop dropping out, we could just stick with this one script. And so when you're dealing with commuting and people coming from across the country, it adds some logistical stuff.
Is that what it is? Like, why do you think people are doing that?
Flaking?
Yeah.
With everyone, I think different reasons. So like one actor we had, like, didn't really want to be on the project anymore, but he had already committed to being part of it. So like he booked this show at Second City and this one. He didn't really want to do it, but he felt stuck. There was another person on the show who had started dating one of the other actors years ago. They actually met on set and they were like gonna get married. And then they split up. So
this is why you don't date people.
Correct. So just being on set with this other person was like emotionally traumatizing for her.
Yeah.
X amount of years later. To make matters worse, what was in one of the scenes we shot was this character who gets left at the altar. And like the dude who was leaving this other character at the altar was the guy she was going to be married to.
So it's kind of personal.
Very personal. And so
it's like, use those emotions.
Yes.
Just use
them. Exactly. So she's like on the verge of tears, like hating every minute of being here. Not really because of us, but because of the situation, which was honestly like kind of her fault. So, but what it's like if you start dating another actor on a show, like be an adult, like whatever. But yeah. Anyway, so what I understand, people have feelings, life is hard. Like, I'm not judging.
But that's the risk you're taking.
That's the risk you take, exactly. But, like, I also understand why this was painful for her and why she was struggling, whatever. So, like, that was one thing. And then, like, we also started making the show during COVID. So like we were following all these COVID procedures and everything, but there was no work anywhere for anyone. As far as an acting gigs, everything was shut down. Like our sound guy, he works for Cinespace and like all those other like companies in Chicago. Cinespace wasn't doing anything. That's the only, we never would have been able to get such a great sound guy if things had been business as usual.
Right.
And like we got our sound guy, his name is Bruno, and he is old as the hills. And he's, and he's always like a little grumpy, and he's just heart of gold. And like has worked on like everything in Chicago, and he's very, very good. But he like hobbles around. He's like, we gotta reshoot that. There's an airplane. Nah, you're hitting your mic. No. And just, but he's just so good. And just like the sound sounded so good because Bruno fucking knew what he was doing. And so we wouldn't have had Bruno were it not for the pandemic. And a lot of these actors we wouldn't have had were it not for the pandemic.
And that was season 1.
That was season 1. So a lot of like people were just glad to be doing anything because nothing was going on.
Yeah.
But cut to now, it's life as usual. People have shows, people have other things they're doing, people have lives. So coordinating everyone's schedules was much, much harder than it was during the pandemic when nothing was happening.
Nobody had a life.
No one had a life.
Yeah.
So people were like, oh, fuck, I get to go do a thing. And now it's like, this, and I have 25 other things I have to do. It's 2025 and life is hectic, you know?
Yeah.
So
I was just watching the history of roast battle thing they have on their YouTube channel, and that was one of the things they mentioned. It's like when they were really getting started, it was 2020, and there weren't very many options for comics to do anything. And so they were one of the few things that was still booking comics at that time, and that actually played in their favor.
Sure.
And it's just, I never would have even thought of that. Like if you were somebody who was working at that time and you needed talent, of course it would be a gold mine because everybody wants to work.
Everyone's working. No one has any work.
Yeah. And like also, I bet that sound guy who like, even though his personality is so rugged, like that's probably the exact kind of person that's going to be like the best.
He's the kind of person where he like has a heart of gold.
Yeah.
The nicest person. He's this rugged older guy. The best. Just like the best guy.
Yeah.
And just like he's the best. And like he's the kind of guy who like he'd walk in and he'd like say to the camera guy, "Hey, you see the game last night?" And he go, "Yeah, I see the game. Good game. And he like those like dad conversations.
Yeah.
Him and the camera guy were just like always having dad conversations. So one of these days I said to one of my friends was like, "Watch this." So I went up to Bruno and Perry, the camera guy, and I was like, "Hey," you guys see the game last night?" And they're like, "No, is it good?" And like they completely took it seriously. I was like, "It's all right. They was like, "Oh, okay." And we had this long bullshit conversation about the game last night. But I was just saying all the things I hear them saying when they're just like talking about the game. But and I very firmly, I know we're running out of time here.
Oh, I've never how much time you got.
I'm a firm believer that like we fucking need boomers. Because they bring skills to the table that no one our age has.
Yeah.
Because they're coming out of other time periods with other experience. And I've worked with people who basically they kind of want all the boomers gone because they think, oh, well, we want everyone, boomers are annoying. And they don't know what they're trying. It's like, no, the boomers probably know shit we don't know.
Right.
Because they've been doing it if they're good, like, yeah, they might be They might be rough around the edges because they're older, but if they're good-hearted people, and they've been doing it for a while, they have skills that we don't have. Because we're all in our 20s and we're all dumb. I'm sorry, when you're in your 20s, we haven't lived long enough to figure shit out.
Yeah, but no 20-year-old thinks they're dumb.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, and you get this like fucking 50-year-old, person, camera guy or crew guy or whoever, and if you can put up with the fact they're a little rough around the edges, they know what they're doing because they've been doing it for a while.
And that's the best person you could be asking questions and you learn
comedy.
Yeah.
Like the comedy advice you get from a boomer who's been doing it for 20 years. Like there was in New York, I knew a woman named Veronica. She'd been doing it for 1,000,000 years. And she was so good and her advice was so solid. And you have to actually be old to get to the point where you like have good advice. You can't just be like 20. I know everything. Like that's not how that works.
Yeah.
You have to actually go through all of life and become old to develop that like wisdom.
Yeah, and it's a shame because like you do have that separation where it's like people who are younger just assume that the people who are older are out of touch when it's kind of the opposite.
We have to stop assuming that the boomers have nothing to offer.
Yeah.
Like don't get me wrong, there's some boomers where I'm like, shut the fuck up. What are you talking about? But then there are other times where I'll be like, man, they're really on. I'm like, that old person is speaking some truth.
Yeah.
I'm like, maybe we should like examples like Joan Baez. I like to watch like interviews of her from recently because she was involved in all this like protesty stuff like in the 60s or whatever. And when I hear her talk about this stuff, I'm like, or like Bob Dylan interviews, hearing him say things, I'm like, man, we gotta check in with the old people more. I was like, they got some shit to say. I'm like, Bob is like 1 million years old. I was like, he's speaking. Well, I was like, guys, we gotta talk to the old people.
Yeah,
they got some truths.
I mean, it's like a never-ending story because it's always like the younger generation thinks the older generation isn't in touch with what we're doing, when really it's human nature never changes.
Yeah,
like those basic elements of life never really change. Yeah. And most of the time that's the stuff that you can learn from. Like just the basic wisdom of an older person. Like I've been through this, I've seen it all happen 1,000,000 times. Trust me. They can tell you. Yeah. I mean, like a political activist is an interesting one because politics, it's always kind of been the same story. It's just elevated now more than before. So if you talk to somebody who went through that in the 60s and 70s, they'll give you, it's almost crazy when you hear it because you're like, oh my god, it's basically what it is now. Like what they're describing, the picture they're painting isn't that different from modern reality.
I mean, if you listen to the times they are changing, it could just as easily have been written in 2025.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think all really great art is timeless. Same thing if you like warrant the characters in War and Peace. Because Tolstoy is like so good at human psychology. They're all people we know. Yeah. Like the way they think. Same thing if you read like The Great Gatsby or like whatever, these like older classic books, they're classics for a reason. And I don't know. Like I whenever I read really good books from other time periods, I'm like, I know all of these people and I know these idiots. Like Salinger's another one. When I read Salinger, I'm like, I know all of these people in real life. And yeah.
I think like good art is timeless in a weird way. It's a product of its time, but it's also timeless. Yeah. Like it, and I think it's that human element that makes that come through. And I think that's why you do have to like ask those questions to those people. You have to be willing to see through all of those filters to that human element. Yeah. Yeah. And like respect that person within them to get there. Yeah. You know? Because everybody's got something for you, but especially I feel like the people who have experienced too much of life.
Yeah. Like if you can forgive them for not knowing all the right words.
Right. Yeah, that's
like
a good point,
not always knowing the current language that's acceptable. If you can forgive them and get past that, a lot of times they have really good insight. Not always. Not always. Sometimes what they have to say is garbage. But like other times I find people who what they're saying is true. They're just they don't know how to use words that are contemporary. Yeah. And I'm like extracting the word you said that we no longer say anymore. What you're saying is true.
Like, you know, see the core of what they're saying.
The core of what you're saying, exactly. Yeah. I'm like, we don't say that word now, and I know you don't know that. So I'm gonna not think about it and focus on the heart of what. Because I know what you meant.
Yeah, it's a gift and a curse to be able to do such a thing. Because I think what happens is you end up being like, if you take that too far, you end up being too forgiving. Yes. And that's my problem.
Yes.
I will just see the best in everything anyone says. Yeah. And I think that can get you in some like traps. Yes. It's very easy to step on a bear trap when you're that guy.
Yes. Of being too forgiving for people's bullshit.
Yeah. Because most of the time, no one's the villain in their own story.
Right.
Everybody wants to express themselves, and most of the time it's not hate at the core of what you are. If it seems like hate, it's actually like a misguided version. Like they think that they're not being hateful, and they might be, but they think they're not.
Every one of those idiot guys who stormed the castle thought they were living Welcome to the Black Parade.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like they all thought they were Gerard Way, like taking a stand for free. Like they all thought they were in the Matrix.
Yeah.
Like they all think they're heroes.
You almost can't blame them. Like
Right.
if you really wanted to understand the reality that brought them there, you have to imagine why they would think that. Like, okay, so why do they think they are like the savior of reality?
Yeah.
Like what got the and in ways you can relate. If you're honest with yourself, you'd be like, okay, well, I could. Like what I always try to remind myself is I could have just as easily ended up as anybody else.
Yeah.
Like if my circumstances were yours or someone else's, I could have been you, but I'm not, and I'm me. And so like I try to apply that to whenever I hear anybody talk, because I know like you're almost like a victim of your circumstances in a way. Like life kind of happens to everybody to an extent, you know, and you only have you think you have so much agency, but you don't. You really don't. Like there's so much of it that's out of your control.
Fully.
Yeah, and it's easy to become somebody that maybe is not ideal. It's very easy.
It's very, very easy.
Yeah.
Super duper easy.
And I think that there's something enlightening about being the person who does see through all of that. Like, say I do agree with the core of your philosophy, but I still understand why you would get there.
Yeah.
That's the type of mentality that could get that person out of that philosophy.
Right,
actually see them where they are.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's so much more easy to just, oh, well, you're wrong, I'm right. That's the easier way to go about it. I know it's right. You don't know it's right.
Everybody
you
wants
use
a
words
cause.
that I don't like.
Yeah. Everyone just wants a cause and to feel like they're fighting for something.
Yeah.
Like example is a stupid example. Is I was talking to Kyle and he was like, I've been cooking at home lately because instead of just like going out to eat, because I realize he's like that like society tries to like program you to like go out for fast food all the time. So I've been like cooking at home more. And I was like, Kyle, I've been telling you for years you should cook at home more instead of going to Taco Bell, but you can't cook at home until you feel like you're fighting society? Really? That you can't just cook at home, you have to be fighting something? He goes, I just need a cause. and we started laughing. I was like, I can't believe you. I was like, you can't just cook. It has to be a rebel crusade for justice.
Like, bro, you made a sandwich, dude.
Exactly. I was like, you literally just like heated up some soup and you're like, I'm fighting society instead of going to Taco Bell. And then he goes,
that's a great example.
He said, this is how you start a cause. He goes, you just turn X variable into welcome to the Black Parade. And I was like, exactly. I was like, so you're fucking like, you just cooking soup is you just sticking it to the man.
I kind of like that, actually.
You know, and then
I like it. It's like, because it raises the stakes, you know?
Yeah, and it's like though you're broken and defeated, your weary widow doesn't go to Chick-fil-A because they don't support gay people. So then we're gonna go to a different burger place that also secretly hates gay people, but we don't want to think about it.
Yeah.
So then though you're broken and defeated, you're gonna get really mad when someone doesn't recycle, and then later you're also gonna forget to recycle and be a complete hypocrite.
Yeah. And there's only so much of the world you can save. Yeah.
We're all just on a crusade.
Yeah. But my crusade is the best crusade.
My crusade.
My crusade is the righteous one.
Microplastics!
Yeah, I know.
Microplastics! You consume microplastics?
Listen, I'm sorry. I'll be better.
This is so bad for the environment.
What am I supposed to be doing?
Drinking out of a glass bottle.
All right.
Canceled.
Glass bottles from here on out. I didn't know I was going against the common good.
Yeah. Well,
glass
it isn't so much
from here on
like
out.
I mean, I think glass bottles are probably bad for the environment so much too, but the microplastics will fuck your body.
And it bums me out because it's like I feel like it's just the walls close in more and more every day. Like microplastics are newer. Like, that one we didn't even talk about until the last
More
2
recently,
or 3 years.
Yeah. It's in all the meat.
I don't even want to have to think about that.
Do you know that when so this is illegal in the state of Illinois, but in other states it is legal. So they'll take the old bread off of the shelves and then they put it in basically these big blenders and then they feed the bread to the animals, but they don't take the plastic off. And now this is illegal in Illinois, but we're getting meat from other states where it is.
And like the animals
are consuming it. So they're eating plastic that's mixed into all the bread. So then we're eating all this meat that's just full of plastic. And this is just our life.
Bruh. It's crazy. Like,
how many foods that we eat here on a regular basis are banned in Europe, like Gatorade? Yeah. Because they're so toxic. They're literally illegal.
Yeah. And it seems impossible to escape it. And like the other thing that's annoying about it is you kind of can't if you don't have money. Like if you can't afford to go to like a
Whole Foods
or somewhere that's like a local like co-op or something like that. Because it is more expensive, but what you're paying for is no more poison.
Yeah.
So it's either you consume poison or you have enough money to not consume poison.
And it's in fucking everything.
Yeah.
Like there's shit in like wheat thins. There are certain chemicals in wheat thins that are also illegal in certain countries in Europe.
Which to me it doesn't even make sense because it's like, why would you want that? Like, how do you get to a point where it's that bad? And like, how could you possibly expect the average person to be able to discern whether or not they should eat wheat thins? Like,
it's so
we all have
much
lives.
work. We're busy. Yeah, exactly. Like I go to the grocery store on a daily basis and I'm like paralyzed because every single thing there, I'm like, this will kill me. This will kill me. This would, well, I guess I could eat some dairy, but that does make my acne worse. But I haven't had any protein in multiple days. I guess I could have some peanut butter, but this is full of palm oil, which will clog my arteries. And now I'm going to get a heart attack. And I'm like, well, I guess I could have some meat for protein, but it's full of plastic. And I'm like,
Yeah, you just pay attention and now you're neurotic.
So yeah, literally, I've like barely eaten all day because I tried to go to Jewel and I was like, fuck. And I was like, whatever, I'll eat later. I'll think about this later. I'm going to go do this podcast.
It's not fair.
Yeah.
It's not fair.
I was like, this is
it almost
so
feels
hard.
like you're Neo in the Matrix and you finally can see that you're in the Matrix.
Yeah, except Neo's just like an annoying white woman with a really nasally voice.
That's the reboot.
Like everyone wants to think they're Neo. I'm just seeing through it.
Yeah.
I'm not one of the sheeple. I'm like, we are all sheeple.
We're all the sheeple.
Even the people at the top.
Yeah.
The quote unquote elites, they're all sheeple too. We're all just dumb fucking babies.
That's the sad truth, is that it's not a grand conspiracy to murder everybody. It's not population control. It's not any of that. It's as simple as, I think most of it is as simple as money. I mean, it's as simple as money. It's like, it's easier to put poison in everything because you're cutting corners. Like what happens? A company cuts corners and they start allowing certain things to happen, and then you just excel that over the years.
Oh, well, if we don't cut corners, we got to cut corners somewhere else, so we're going to have to lay off 100 people? What, you want 100 people to not have jobs?
Yeah.
Not be able to feed their families? You want me to cut corners? Libs? Okay, take away jobs from hardworking Americans? Like, you can spin anything ethically if you want to.
Right.
Like, Kyle and I, there's another game Kyle and I played where, like, find a way to cancel me. So we'll just like pick anything, like say a random sentence or pick up an object and be like, cancel me for this. And we just come up with ways to cancel each other. Or like,
that's probably easy. Probably not even that hard of a game.
It's like, oh, you're wearing a shirt that's like made by child slaves in another country.
Yeah, I sure
am.
am.
You're just like fast fashion. Okay. That's going to go in a landfill at some point. So not only do you hate poor people in other countries, but now you're wasting things. Oh, greedy consumerism canceled.
Damn.
Like I can cancel anybody at any point in time.
It's impressive.
It's such a skill. You know?
I'm trying to think. Like I've never tried that before. Let me think.
Can't find a way to cancel me.
All right, your shoes are Fila. Damn, this is really hard. I haven't practiced. So Fila shoes. I mean, I bet those shoes are made. See, I'm kind of just copying you.
Sure.
If I go with clothes.
Well, they're. I don't know if this is leather or not. If there's some leather in here, you could probably cancel me for hating animals. Animal cruelty.
That's obviously what I was going to say.
Probably some animal cruelty there.
Yep. Oh, animal cruelty for sure.
Animal cruelty for sure.
Uh-huh.
These shoes, again, you can copy me, probably stitched up by some, these are not fair trade shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Someone was definitely exploited for me to have these shoes.
And you probably bought them, first, like from the store.
Yes.
New. Mm-hmm. You should have went to a Goodwill or something like that and bought used
Correct.
shoes because someone needs to buy those. And if you're just buying brand new products like that, especially name brand product, why aren't you supporting like Fila? That's a big company.
Or a small business.
Right. You could be supporting a small business, and instead you're
and
walking
we don't know
around
what they
as like
support.
What?
We don't know what Fila supports.
Exactly.
For all we know, they also hate gay people.
They probably do.
Probably support the alt-right.
Yeah.
Like, for all we know, I bought these Fila shoes and I was funneling money into Donald Trump getting elected.
That's probably exactly what you did.
What happened.
Shame on you.
Shame. But it's so easy. Yeah. It's so easy. It's like, oh, I can see you trimmed part of your face.
Part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With that, let's see, what gel did you use? Because I bet it was full of chemicals that are really toxic and destructive for the environment.
I bet it was.
And now you're just washing those chemicals down the drain. You're buying more razors, also wasteful.
God damn it.
Not only are you toxifying our water system, but you're giving money to corporations that are doing terrible things for the planet.
Yeah.
Oh, you have podcasting equipment. Like, I'm not even going to go down the rabbit hole of the ethics of podcasting equipment. We all suck. Like, we can't.
And you can't win.
You can't win.
There's no winning. Yeah.
Like, yeah. It's like even my Donnie Darko necklace, which my sweet baby angel boyfriend got for me on Etsy. Like, yes, that was a small business, but look at this metal. Like, we don't know where that metal's from.
No, it's probably sourced from
somewhere horrible.
Somewhere horrible.
Probably some horrible company that wants death to America.
I mean, there's no way that was sourced from like an ethical.
Yeah.
It would have been right there on the website.
Yeah.
He would have said, "I got you an ethical Donnie Darko necklace." If he didn't say that.
That's a funny statement. An ethical Donnie Darko necklace. Yeah, exactly. Well, and like this. So this is Moldavite. And like my boyfriend is very, very anal about quality Moldavite.
Okay.
So, like the real Moldavite.
Yeah.
The legit, like an asteroid hit the Earth and now it's like real Moldavite. And so like, and a lot of Moldavite actually, there's different, like I think there's some Moldavite from Russia. So it's like, I don't know the specifics of where he got this, but if it's real decent Moldavite, odds are it might be from Russia. And we all know about Russia.
Yeah.
So like,
need I say anything more?
Yeah, it's a very, very fun game to like play with your friends at parties, which is like come up with a reason to cancel me on the spot.
It would probably fuck me up a little bit because like the sad part of the game is that there's a lot of truth in the game.
Yeah.
Like you'll never ever escape, and that's why it's like it's such a tough problem to even know where to solve. Like I feel like you'd have to destroy all of society and just start from the beginning.
Yeah.
You wanted to actually fix these things because it's so ingrained in our way of living.
We're all
like
trapped.
Cell phones.
Yeah.
Who's gonna pay 10 times as much for an ethically produced cell phone? Because that's what you'd have to do,
right?
If you wanted your phone to be ethically
produced. Yeah.
Yeah. Like otherwise, you're not going to do that. And no one, if you're being honest, no one wants to pay $10,000 for a cell phone. But in the reality where it is not child slavery, that's what it is.
You can see why it was so hard for people to give up slavery in the South.
Yeah.
Like, what, you just want me to have harvest cotton myself now?
Yeah. You kidding me? We've been doing this for years.
And it's been working so well.
Yeah.
Like, you see why they didn't want to let it go.
Yeah.
Like, why they threw a little bitch for, like, no, we want to be able to do... Like, no, because it was their whole fucking economy. It was easy.
Yeah.
Like, if you had people to just do work for free, of course you're going to throw a bitch fit.
Yeah.
If someone's like, you can't just, like, own people. Like, what do you mean?
And the only way out of that is, like, a civil war.
A civil war. Like...
Yeah.
Like, here's the thing. Slavery is gross and weird and you shouldn't do it. Of
course.
I understand why they were brats about it. And, like, absolute babies. Like, and why some people are still pissed about it now.
What's the same exact mentality that leads you to doing the things like that, like buying the cell phone that you know is child slavery.
Exactly.
It's just one step removed. You don't have to see it. That's the only difference.
Yeah, you're like, what do you want? Like, what am I supposed to do? This is how the whole world works. This is what everyone does.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I was talking to my mom the other day about how when I eat meat, I immediately think of the little chicken being thrown in the blender. And my mom's like, ew. And I was like, Mom, don't you think about that every time you, like, make ground beef that you got at Aldi? And she's like, no, I don't think about that. I was like, how could you not think about that? You're holding bloody meat.
Well, yeah, but...
And she's like, oh, I just try not to think about that. I'm like, that's how slavery worked.
You're right.
Like, that's how like, oh, well, I know that, like, we're like, kind of, like, beating these people and we're, like, making them, like, pick cotton. But like, I don't want to think about it. I'm not going to think about it. Yeah. That's how the Holocaust happened. Like, I don't want to think about it.
To be actually progressive is to be kind of radical in a sense, right? You kind of have to be, or else you will just kind of settle. I mean, like, I remember when I first found out about the conditions of how meat, like the general meat you buy from the store is produced. And it's terrible. It's so bad. And it hasn't changed at all. I found that out when I was like 12. And I became a vegetarian for like a year. And then I just gave up eventually. But that's how most people end up there, becoming a vegetarian or a vegan, is they realize how they basically torture these animals.
I know.
And then they corral them into a meat grinder, or they cut their heads off while they're alive. It's terrible.
It's so gross.
And that's why, like, you can't think about it when you're just sitting there looking at the meat, because if you actually thought about that, you'd never want to buy it again.
And then my mom goes, oh, but it's okay to kill millions of unborn babies.
I made about abortion.
And I'm like, Mom, if you actually think, I was like, if you think eating processed meat is the equivalent of 1 million abortions, why are you still eating meat?
Yeah.
If you think it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, the difference, Marianne, is that, like, you are not purposefully having an abortion every day for breakfast. An abortion is something you do if you have to, that you don't want. You're not purposefully having an abortion for multiple meals a day.
Yeah, no, and even
and
like,
buying abortions all the time.
even if you were to follow that further, like, okay, let's say you're having sex. Are you having sex with the premise of, oh, I'm going to abort this baby after I produce this baby through? You're never thinking that.
No.
It's
Whereas
almost
we're
always like
purposefully making meat to eat.
Yeah.
Like, but again, it's like, if you really think eating meat is the equivalent of killing 1 million unborn babies, why are you eating meat? If
Right.
you are equating them to the same thing.
But I mean, it's just her deflecting is what
Yeah,
it truly is.
No,
It's not even an actual logical connection.
No.
She's just like, no, let's stop talking about me.
Yeah.
You murder babies.
Yeah.
I'm not bad. You're bad.
It's like, Dana, you and all your drag queen pedophile friends. But something I've been thinking a lot about lately is, like, my mom, like, she's very scared about all the trans people because, you know, all their secret Illuminati, baby brain eating, whatever. Something I need to point out to her is be like, Mom, I don't know anyone who does that.
What? That's
Like a drag queen who just, like, drinks baby blood.
adrenochrome.
Yeah, I was like, maybe there is a secret underground cabal of people eating. But I don't know anyone who does that.
Yeah.
Maybe they exist. I've just never met them.
And if I found one, you're the first person I would tell.
You're the
Mom.
first person I would tell. Believe me, if I found out one of my drag queen friends was secretly eating baby brains, I would tell everyone.
Me too.
This would not be a secret.
Be
So
like,
I'm like,
you will not believe.
you would not believe what Jennifer has been doing. I was like, where are these people? Because I know, like, I feel like I meet a lot of gay people and trans people, like, whatever. I've yet to, and I want to. Do you know how exciting that would be to be like, guess what Rue is up to?
Yeah.
I was like, guess, but I never do. They're never eating baby brains. They're always just, like, working at a coffee shop or something.
Yeah, it's actually always just real. They're just normal people.
Doing
It's
the most
sad
boring
truth.
shit. And, like, I literally, I like, reached out to one of my friends recently who, like, lives in Oregon and is trans. Like, what are you up to? And, like, I've been making a lot of bread lately. I'm like, boring. That's so boring. I'm glad you're just, like, making bread and you have a cat now. Like, it's never interesting.
Yeah.
These like fictitious supervillain people that, like, none of us know.
Yeah.
Who, like, I would love to meet someone. Well, actually, I actually have, but they weren't trans people. I did meet someone who knew some people that were actually part of this, like, big trafficking circuit. But, like, they weren't eating baby brains, to my knowledge.
How'd you meet these people?
The Austin Film Festival.
But, like, how'd you know them?
Well, I didn't before. So we'd been looking for a distributor for Active Faith.
Okay.
And we almost ended up going with Angel Studios. Are you familiar with them?
No.
They put out The Chosen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I've had that recommended to me
Yeah.
plenty of times.
So they almost distributed our show. They have a more right-wing fan base, but they were like, we were interested in expanding. The issue is that the way shows get made is they present their viewers with, hey, these are, like, here's a preview for all the shows. Vote on the ones you want made. So they get to pick. The problem is, if you have a completely right-wing fan base, they're going to keep voting for these things.
Right.
So even if you want...
We want the school shooting show.
Exactly. So even if you want to bring in a bigger audience,
Yeah.
the shows that are getting made are being voted for.
Yeah.
And all of the voters, like, hold stock in the company. So you, like, pay for your subscription, whatever, and then you have stock in the company, you get to vote. It's actually a cool model, but this is where the issue came in is...
It produced a bias.
Right.
Yeah.
So they put out, and I think all this information is correct. They put out this movie about the dude Tim Ballard who supposedly went on a crusade to, like, end sex trafficking. All the Christian moms were, like, obsessed with it, like, a couple years ago. And then we talked to this guy at the film festival, and supposedly this dude, Tim Ballard, who's like the king of anti-sex trafficking, is like one of the world's biggest sex traffickers. His whole thing is he's ending it.
Oh, is he hiding in plain sight?
Yes. He's ending it. And so
is this like confirmed information?
I believe so. So like, again, you can Google it. This was like an in-depth conversation we had with this dude there, and maybe he's crazy and whatever, but like he was like, Angel Studios has run, this is according to this guy that we sat down and we talked for a long time with. Angel Studios had run into problems because they knew this dude's a problem. And he also like kind of runs this cult and like whatever, but they were making so much money off of the movie about him. There you go. And so they're like, well, he's making a lot of money. Also, the dude who played Jesus in The Passion of the Christ plays this guy, Tim Ballard. So he's personifying himself as Jesus. The same actor who played Jesus in The Passion of the Christ is playing him in this movie. Like, it's this huge issue. And so...
Not Willem Dafoe, is it?
I don't
thought
even
it was Willem Dafoe.
Remember his name. Again, let me preface by saying a lot of this was a conversation I had with someone at the Austin Film Festival. Who knows, like, whatever. This is just what he told me.
Yeah.
And so afterwards we were like, well, we're really glad we didn't end up going with Angel Studios. We're like, great thing Active Faith didn't go there. And I think Active Faith would have still been a little bit too edgy for that demographic anyway. But so yeah, I didn't have the heart to tell my mom any of this because I knew it would break her. She hates reality. So I was like, I'm not even going to bother telling you about this. But yeah, so that was a fun little thing to find out. And yeah, but his whole thing would be, again, what this guy said is he would bring women with him to these other countries. Hey, we're going to end sex trafficking. And then...
That's the perfect cover.
Perfect cover. It's genius.
Wow.
It's like, I have a theory that the same people who create like Norton and these hacking softwares are the very people who are the hackers. So I think that they run the same shit. So they create the problem and then they create the solution.
Yeah.
And just like I know there are certain, I just think a lot of these services that we pay for, the people, like the only reason we need like Norton tracking blockers or whatever is because the same people create the tracking blockers. So we have to buy this thing.
Yeah.
Like what if there were no people like trying to steal our information? Well, where would all their business go?
Right.
It's like they don't, even if the cure for cancer, which I believe already exists, became available, cancer's a massive business.
Yeah.
Us all getting, same thing as you ask, why do we have so much crap in our food? You get rid of the crap, cancer rates go down, and cancer's a business.
Right.
So like they're going to keep putting Gatorade and plastic in the food because it's like they're making a shitload of money from us all having cancer.
And I think like the problem is there's like what you're saying is almost exactly true, but it's probably more the case that like there's this unspoken agreement that just gets carried out over time. Like it's not like there's 10 dudes in a room saying let's give everybody cancer.
Right.
It's more like a bunch of people silently agreeing, well, we need money.
We need money.
Yeah, and that's how it plays out over time. It's not as conspiratorial as there's an actual meeting taking place.
Yeah.
But it's just something that happens over time and you can't stop that train.
And here's the thing, there probably are evil deals that happen all the time.
Yeah.
There probably are evil people who are pedophiles. I just don't think it's quite as fun and dramatic. And they're probably not wearing really cool masks like an Eyes Wide Shut.
Yeah.
It's probably just a bunch of asshole dudes sitting around being like, okay, so like, what if you just like start a war and then we'll all make like $1 billion and then we'll like get the Americans all mad about this other thing that has nothing to do with this. So they'll be really distracted from this thing because they're all going to be mad about this other like random social justice issue. And we'll all make like $1 billion. And I'm like, cool. But they're not, I don't think they're like, they're not like in a cave and there's not like fire and a person with a coat. I think it's just a bunch of dudes just being like, so what if we just like bomb another country? And they're like, okay, cool.
Well, that's why the whole Bohemian Grove thing was so crazy. If you know anything about that, like where there actually was proof that there are rich people all dressing up in the woods doing this satanic ritual.
Was it that one where they was that the one where they light a thing about
it's like an effigy
against the boringness of life or something.
I think so.
So I watched a video essay about conspiracy theories. It wasn't so much debunking them, but exploring conspiracies within the psyche and like from a psychological perspective, like why our culture is so fixated on them.
Okay.
And I think it dealt with that one a little bit, but what it got into was that it made it sound way more satanic than it was, and that what it actually was kind of lame when they unpacked it. But whatever, the point, who knows? I don't know anything.
Who knows, right?
But what I really like about what interests me in conspiracy theories is not even the actual conspiracy theory. It's why we are so hell-bent on having them. And it's like, well, we're a culture that doesn't do religion anymore. So how do we explain how things work? I know. If there's no God in the sky, there's some creepy people that drink baby blood and they're controlling everything. This symbol here and this symbol, because this thing in the media, Pizzagate, it's like, we don't have religion and now people just need another form of magical thinking.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a great point. I think the loss of religion in the cultural zeitgeist ever since like the 1500s moving forward is probably like a major source of our mass psychosis.
Yeah.
Because we all crave that instinct is still in you.
Yeah,
that
I
instinct.
need it. Let me have my magical friend in the sky.
Yeah.
People want a God that is just like them, and this is always true. I do think this is objectively always true. People always worship a version of God that is like them.
And that's why Jesus is white when he obviously isn't.
Or like conservative people think that Jesus would be fine with guns, and all the libs are like, no, he wouldn't. Like for me, like Jesus is like my sassy gay friend in the sky. That's like really sweet, but like a little judgy.
Did you hear that story about Jesus where he shot somebody? Did you ever hear that one?
Remember that story about Jesus where he ran over someone with his truck? It's like, no, you're just projecting you onto God. Just like in my head, Jesus is just like in heaven with like Judy Garland. Like, hi Dana. Oh, you did that? Ew, whatever. I still love you.
Right.
Like, by the way, your outfit's ugly, but I love you.
It's an extension of yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's kind of weird that just coincidentally Jesus acts like a sassy gay man. That's what you think God is.
Yeah.
You know?
And like not having that cultural, like we all agree this is what God is, I think only makes that worse. That your individual interpretation.
Yeah.
Like there is a value to having a culture surrounding a religion, or at least having an agreement that we're all thinking in such a way.
I just accept that I'm dumb and I don't fight it.
Yeah, me too.
Like, oh, you believe there's a magical guy in the sky? And I'm like, yeah, I'm dumb. Like sheeple, I'm like, yeah. I write musicals.
Yeah.
And I like, what do you want from me?
Yeah.
Like what? Like yes, I am dumb. Whoa. Like oopsie.
Well, I think it's very stupid to think you know. That's actually like the irony of it, is if you really think you know, that's what's silly, because it's natural to question reality. Like none of us really know much. We know like a small percentage of everything, and some of us specialize in certain things, and you could tell me all about musicals. You could tell me all about them because that's what you know. Just like I could tell you.
That's about all I know. I know about musicals. I know like literally nothing about anything else. And I'm like, so I think I've heard that like maybe equals MC squared, but like I think I like saw that in a YouTube video clip like maybe one time 5 years ago, but I kind of wasn't listening because I was like eating and like texting my ex. So like,
but wicked,
yes.
But just the sense that we all can own. There's only so much information you can take in.
Yeah.
There's only so many, and that's kind of what's good about that, is that someone else can. They've spent hours and hours on this thing, and they can shed so much light on it, and that provides that wisdom to you. Just like there's that 40, 50-year-old guy who's been through it, and he can tell you because he has that experience that you don't have. That's
Normalize
good.
being okay with being a sheeple.
And being stupid.
Yes. Everyone is trying so hard to prove that they're not. I'm not the sheeple. I'm the one person who has the truth.
Yeah.
I'm smart. I have this super secret. I'm Neo in the Matrix. No, you're not. We're all dumb. It's okay to be dumb.
Right. And there's no main character. Like,
Yeah,
you're not the
no.
main character.
Yeah.
Trust me.
No one is sitting around piecing together the secrets of everything and getting it all right. We're all just kind of running around being dumb.
Yeah.
Like,
And there's like, I think like, there's just such a danger in that, in thinking you know, because it gets you to those spots where you draw these false conclusions and you create these narratives, and then you become combative and you stop growing because you think you figured it out.
Yes.
And I think like the further and further you get into life, the easier it is to do that, because when you're a kid, there's a million possibilities. When you're in your 20s, there's a million possibilities. And then eventually you do become that hard-headed boomer because you did develop all these thoughts over time.
And they
crystallize. Yeah. Well, it has been awesome. You have been awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming
by.
by.
Thank you for having me.
We'll have you again sometime, of course. At the very end, what I always try to make sure to do is, one, make sure to let them know where they can find you. Let them know where they can find. I mean, you already told them that you got your stuff out on Amazon Prime and Tubi, but let them know exactly what they're typing in. Act of Faith. I'm pretty sure that's all it is, right?
ActofFaithShow.com has every single streaming option. But you can find Act of Faith on Tubi and Prime and Roku and also OmniTube and Reveal, but no one's ever really heard of those ones. So Tubi and Prime and Roku.
And that's awesome, by the way. Like, seriously awesome. I mean, most of the time when people make things, they can't say, you can go watch it on this streaming service. So, I mean, that's an accomplishment in itself. Seriously.
Thank you.
Good for you.
The amount of red tape that it took to get that, like, miles of red tape.
I can only imagine.
And miles of gatekeepers. Who have so much fun gatekeeping.
Yeah.
They're like, what if we told you that we actually can't pass your show because you actually have to have musical notes on the captions whenever they're singing. And then we put musical notes in all the captions. That takes weeks. And then they're like, oh, you don't need to do that. Like, what the fuck? What the fuck? What do you mean? We just spent weeks.
And it was just some asshole.
Yes.
It was just one guy.
These captions. What do you mean we never had to have them? Like, well, actually, the Hindi subtitles weren't translated perfectly.
Oh my God.
If you want subtitles in Spanish and Hindi, you got to do some of those corrections. And we're just like,
And like, really, they're probably rationalizing it because no one's a villain in their own story. They're like, oh, well, we're just weeding out the people who don't really want.
Yeah, this is quality control.
Yeah.
And not just they're having fun gatekeeping us because they have nothing else to do, but they're like, we're making sure everything's quality.
Jesus.
It was like, yeah.
Yeah, and it's probably it's hitting that wall over and over. Like, right when you think it's all done, 10 other things pop up. Yeah. But you did it?
We did it.
You're there? We did. She says with pain in her eyes.
Yeah, and then I make it, and then all of my, not all of them, but a lot of my friends who are comedians just refuse to watch it.
Yeah.
And then like, so some of my friends.
Oh, musical? Oh, okay.
Yeah, right. Some of them have watched it and like some of them are like diehard fans of it, but then I have other people who every time the show comes up, because season 1 came out a couple of years ago, they act like they don't know how streaming works every time. They're like, so where is it? And I'm like, Amazon Prime and Tubi. Like I tell you every time we have this conversation. And they're like, what? So is that like an app or like?
Just say you didn't watch it.
I was like, and finally I called out one of my friends, and I was like, we have this same conversation every single time we talk about this. And I was like, literally for years. And I've started getting really shady with people. They're like, Act of Faith. I'm like, yeah, my TV show that you still haven't watched. And like, I don't care. I'm just being I'm done not being a bitch about it. If you are someone who says you're my friend and you've known me for years and you're just actively refusing, like, fuck you.
Well, the difference is, if you're honest, because if you just say like, I got a lot of stuff going on, I don't know if I'm going to get around to it. That's so different than pretending you're going to watch it.
But it's like if years have gone by.
Yeah, and we're close.
Like, I understand. Yeah, exactly. Or even if it's like, maybe we're not close, but we always talk at every single open mic we go to, and I've known you for years.
Yeah.
And like we've been on a million shows together and like that kind of thing. It's like, you can be too busy for a couple months. You can't be too busy for 2 years.
Yeah, at a certain point, you're lying.
At a certain point, you're just not watching it. Yeah. But yeah.
So the social medias, make sure to let them know what those are. And also, if you got a message for the kids at home, you want to send them home with something good, you want to wrap it up,
yes, I do
put a
have a
little
message.
ribbon on top.
I do.
Boom. It's your chance. The floor is yours.
So yes, actoffaithshow.com and Act of Faith on Prime and Tubi, at Dana Norris Kicks Ass on Instagram and TikTok. My message for all the kids at home, get off of Facebook and Instagram as much as you can, because they are systematically destroying our mental health. And by they, I mean Russian troll farms. That's not just me being a crazy conspiracy theorist. Russian troll farms are a thing where they pay people and they have a quota, like 200 inflammatory comments a day to post. And their goal is to undermine the mental health of people living in the West.
Is it only Russia, though?
No. So it's whoever, I'm sure it's not just Russia. There's other people, too. But there's a lot of people who have an incentive for our mental health to be undermined. Think about it. Think about how much money pharmaceutical companies make.
Yeah.
If you have a bunch of depressed people, you can sell a lot of drugs.
Well, I've heard it said that, like, so the big conspiracy fear is, they're going to shut down the grid. You don't have to shut down the grid if you can just make us all crazy and hate each other. Like, if that's actually the operation that's happening.
Yes.
Not the grid.
So, I'm like, every time I open Facebook, there's something horrific.
Yeah.
Like somebody saying something crazy, someone posting, and it's like, whatever. I'm like, whoever they are, whoever these far away baby blood eating people who live in a Gothic tomb, like, just get away. Turn it off. Like, literally, I'll be on my phone and I'll see something inflammatory and I'm like, not today, Satan. And I close my app. Or like, not today, Vlad at the Russian troll farm.
Yeah.
So, not today, Vlad, and just get offline. They're trying to destroy us, our minds.
Yeah.
Which makes me sound like a crazy conspiracy theory person. But we all know social media is bad for us, so just get off, and now I'm done talking.
Well, it's like the dead internet theory, if you've ever heard of that. Oh, you should look into it, because that's kind of the idea, is that like the internet's dead. It died within the last like 10 years. 90% of what you're seeing on the internet is actually bots. It's actually like paid propaganda.
Oh, yeah.
And like the more and more, it sounds crazy when you hear that. You're like, no way. But then the more and more you scroll and you actually consider that, you're like, oh shit, like this doesn't even seem like something a human would do. And I think the trick is to make humans do it. That's the trick, is once you feed people enough of that.
This is how humans act.
Yeah, and that's the false pretense. Then they think that's how humans are acting.
Yeah.
And so a lot of that nonsense, to me, it's just so... When I talk to people in real life, rarely ever do I have such interactions. But it seems so common on social media. Why? Then it just makes me wonder why.
Even Bob Keane would never say in person the shit he says on Facebook.
I agree.
I'm like, Bob, you're just the nicest person.
You know what's funny? I've never met him in real life, but I commented on one of his posts and I just said, like, man, you really shouldn't be posting this kind of... It's like you're putting hate into the world.
Yeah,
and
just toxifying the world.
Yeah, and like he got real upset with me and he like was arguing with me in these comments, and I was trying to just say like, dude, like, we don't know each other, but I see these, and like I'm just trying to tell you, like, this is not like you have a you, and then you have a you that's online. We all have that. I deleted my comment because I didn't even want to. I know how this stuff works. Like if you argue with someone on Facebook, it doesn't matter who's right. You're just talking at a wall, and you're not gonna get anywhere. And it's great to hear that he's just a nice guy in person, because I only ran into him a couple times.
Yeah, I've seen him in Mike's and had, normal interactions.
Yeah.
And him just be normal in person. And I don't know why there's such a... And you know what, Bob? If you see this and you hate me for it, whatever. I don't hate you. You're lovely in person. I just think your online persona could use a little bit of a... what's the renovation?
I've been used to be the same way.
Renovate your online persona, but your in person is lovely.
That's why I was trying to tell him, because I used to be the exact same way. I used to like to try to be controversial when I posted things, or try to like say things that would push buttons, because I knew that would get engagement. I knew it would get people to respond. But like
the conflict feels good.
It feels good.
You feel real.
It feels real.
I'm a real person. And I'm part of fights.
Yeah.
Sticking it to the man.
Yeah. But then like in real life, when do you ever act like that?
Yeah.
And then the other thing I realized through doing it so many times is, this is like making people think that's who I am. Mm-hmm. This is giving people the wrong idea. Because people would I remember there was this one guy who was another rapper from where I was from, and I would always comment on his stuff, and he would say, he pointed out once, like, you only comment when you're criticizing me. And I realized he's right.
Wow.
I only criticize people. I never am being supportive and just like, good job. It's always like, this is what you did wrong.
Yeah.
Because I thought that was what I was supposed to be doing.
That's so interesting.
It was kind of like a bummer, because I had to and now I only say positive things online.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I'm going to say something negative, I try to
DM them privately.
That, or just don't even say it. Wait till I see them in person, because even that interaction is going to be different than a text message.
Yeah.
But yeah, like not everything has to be broadcasted. If you disagree with somebody, just message them. But also, like, just spin it. Like, if you have something negative to say, negative to say it in a positive way. Like, say, this is what you could do rather than this is what I don't like that you're doing.
Yeah.
Because, like, people, you don't want to be so self-righteous. You really don't, especially, though, if it's people you don't even really interact with in the real world. That's the other thing is when I commented on his thing, I was like, well, maybe there's a grain of truth that he's right. Like, I am telling him what not to post, and I don't really know him. So,
yeah. But he also moves through the world and constantly spews his opinions all the time, which he's allowed to do. This is the land of the free.
We all are.
But if you post things, people will have feelings about it.
Yes.
So
right.
it's like, yeah, you're allowed to say whatever you want, but like people are also allowed to not like it.
Yeah.
America.
Yeah.
Like, what are you gonna do?
Take that, Bob Keane.
Take that, Bob Keane. Which, by the way, Bob, I mean what I said. You're lovely in real life.
And I bet I would love you too, Bob.
I bet we would all get together and just like make out.
And I'm
all of
open
us
to
with
that.
Bob Keane.
Now I don't know how your boyfriend's gonna feel about
Johnny,
that.
you would also be there hypothetically. It'd be you, me, Johnny, and Bob Keane.
Yeah.
Just all having a love fest.
Everything we do, we'll ask you first. Is this cool?
Is this cool, Johnny?
Is this cool? Are we allowed? All right. And with all that being said, folks. Who's radio? Clocking out.
Double down, competition couldn't help him to rock. Missed the whole time, holy fell through the flock. That's an ordinary miracle, wealth to the block. It's a bad